Hey everybody, it's Dave. Welcome to I've Known You Too Long. I'm just going to say a couple things real quick here. First thing I wanted to say was thank you to everyone who's been to the store and has checked out the stuff that we have to offer, stuff that's related to the episodes, related to the people that we've been talking to. I really appreciate everyone that's gone in there and bought something. I just put up an article in the rants section of nobodiesknows.com. It's a story about a show we did in Bellingham in 1990. The show was with Inside Out, Forced Down, and Resolution, and a local band called Extremity. I found a roll of 36 shots of photos that Bill Baker took from that show, and they're pretty spectacular. So I put them up and wrote just a few lines on how that show came together. And the response has been pretty overwhelming. 4 times as many people have seen that page and anything else we've done on the site. So definitely, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's very cool. If you ever liked Inside Out, if you ever liked Rage Against the Machine, it's definitely something you want to get a look at. It's an amazing show in a one-car garage a long time ago, back at a time when there aren't as many pictures floating around to show how it all went down. So check that out. Also, in the same section of the site, in the rants section, I also put a story up a while back about the skateboard shop that I opened when I was 16 years old in Bellingham. And that's got some cool old photos and some funny stuff in there. And I don't know. Anyway, just something I'm doing there that's a little different than the podcast, closer to what I used to do with my old zine. So if you haven't already, take some time, check out the site. I think you'll dig it. All right, let's get to this episode. Here we go. Hey, welcome to another episode of I've Known You Too Long. I'm Dave Larson. My guest today is someone I've known for a long time. I say that pretty much at the beginning of every episode because all of these people pretty much, that's the truth. That's the whole point of having them on the show. This is someone who has been around for so long that, as usual, I have a hard time figuring out where it starts. He played bass in a band called The Green, which was later known as Waffle Stomper. He was in a band called Orchard Manor that I'm kind of interested in. I'm going to find something more about today. He plays electronic music in a band called Logic Probe, which I used in my movie The EDGE of QUARREL, and he was in The EDGE of QUARREL in a key scene. And he's done a lot of other things. I think people will be surprised to know some of the places where he has been involved. So my guest today is Derek LINAMAN.
Hello.
Hello, Derek. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I think, before I say the thing I always say, I think you are a special guest. I think, and I might be wrong, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you may be the only person that I've had, and probably the only person I'll ever have, who has listened to every episode prior to the one you came on.
I have indeed listened to every one of them.
You've listened to 17 episodes of this podcast.
Yes.
That's crazy.
I find it very, very interesting while I'm at work.
Oh, so you've got time at work. That's exactly...
Well, no, not really. But I make it.
That's like the perfect setup for a long podcast, though, is when you have periods of time when you're doing like work you don't necessarily have to think about. So
right.
You can have something else playing, make work stuff.
Yeah, I'm working on a laser.
Working on a laser. Who would need to actually use their brain?
You don't need to. Yeah, you just have to push buttons and make artwork.
I once worked on lasers in a company with you, and I actually understand, because after a while, I would disconnect like that and listen to, at the time, no podcasts. There weren't podcasts yet.
You played that Worms game.
No, that was when I was pretending to work, and no one was around. That's a whole other story. We can get to that, too. In the end, before it died, before the whole company, for me, fell apart.
I think it's still around, in some weird way, on the East Coast.
Well, that is terrifying. That'll make some sense. That'll make some sense a little bit later. We're way ahead of the game there.
Oh, yeah.
But Derek, I've known you too long.
I cannot honestly remember how long.
Okay, so we don't know.
I don't.
I don't think
actually recall. I remember seeing you everywhere.
Okay, and the first time we spoke, I thought I was talking to someone else.
Oh, who?
Hold on. We'll get to that.
Okay.
But
I remember the first time we spoke.
Okay. Well, you looked at me like, what the hell is this person doing talking to me? But that's part of the thing. You see, I always felt that you were hostile.
I've been that way my entire life.
Right. And people feel like you're hostile towards them, but you're not.
Oh, no.
That's just how you...
I'm just an extreme introvert.
And you're not a hostile person.
No.
No.
And it has brought nothing but controversy from kindergarten up.
So this was so you were like that as a little child.
Oh, yeah. I've always been that way.
Okay. All right. So Matt...
I have resting mean face.
Resting mean face.
Yeah.
I like that visual. That visual face is great for podcasting.
Yeah, but...
What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a photo of resting mean face so we could put it up. And I don't think this is the real resting mean face, but show me the one you just said.
How's that?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's a slight exaggeration.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
Matt Matsuoka, when I first moved down to Seattle, I started working at Kinko's. And Matt Matsuoka was really excited. We were doing the 10:07 LP. There was great shows happening on the east side. There was just all this stuff happening. And Matt was bringing people together in his version of a Ron Gardapi bringing the scenes together, which is, with Matt, it's much more chaotic and crazy. And so Matt would come in the middle of the night into the Kinko's that I worked at in Bellevue. And there's a number of people, like Damien was one of those people too. We just had him on, where I'd be working and then I just hear the noise of the door and look up and it's like, there goes couple more hours of my night now, which was fantastic because it was really the best part of the job. But you knew that if you were like really busy, you're kind of screwed because friends in the store now. And we're the only two people here at 3 a.m.
I used to do that to the people in Redmond.
Okay, to the Kinko's people?
Yes.
Did you know them?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
What was that band, like Super Deluxe or something?
Oh, the Super Deluxe dudes worked at the Kinko's?
Yeah. I tried to get a job there. And
they had a song about a sweater.
Something
they
like
wanted
that.
a skateboard, they got a sweater.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, whatever.
Some weird stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
They were just dudes that became famous overnight.
Yeah.
Super Deluxe, right?
Yeah.
That's how I remember it. That's probably not the truth of the story. So Matt comes in and he's like, I have something I want you to hear.
No.
And he plays the green. I don't know if it was the demo or if it's what became the 7-inch. I think it was a demo. It was a recording of the green. And I didn't know anything about the green. I didn't know, but he was excited because it was another East Side band that he thought was cool. And I listened to it and said, that song sounds like QUARTERBASH. QUARTERBASH being a band from Portland, Oregon that I was a big fan of. And this is important to this story. I was a big fan of QUARTERBASH. So when I say a band sounds like QUARTERBASH, it was a compliment. However, Matt being, like I said, bringing people together, but also being kind of chaotic, I think when he communicated that back to the band, it ended up being, Dave says you ripped off QUARTERBASH. Does that sound right?
Oh, yeah. We were sitting at my parents' house on the couch. Matt would come over all the time. And that's one of the things he said, yeah, Dave Larson says you guys ripped us off. And it was almost this like immediate like, oh, well, screw that guy.
Yeah, I heard, and then that's what I heard, like, oh, those dude, they didn't rip anything off. And it's just like, oh, Jesus.
But it was also, Matt was intense.
Matt was intense.
With everything.
And I think with Matt, when he brought that tape into me, I think there were two possible outcomes and both worked for Matt. I would hear it and be stoked and want you guys to be on the record label. Or I would hear it and not like it, and he could create a rivalry and division. And either one of those would be something that would entertain him. So either one of those would work.
And, it's healthy competition.
Sure.
It always drives people to try to do things. So.
Now, everyone in the green were people that I ended up liking a lot over time.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't happen as fast with each person, but like I would say today, I really enjoy like every one of those people. And if I had known that at the time, we could have just skipped to it, right?
Right.
Just boom, hey, everything's cool. But that wasn't meant to be. So, and I think I was just like, I was the kind of person who wouldn't let something like that really stand, So I was like, no, dude, it's all cool. But I think Matt kind of stoked those fires.
Oh yeah, he stoked it all the time. Okay. But that was Matt back in the day.
So you guys instead ended up putting out a record on a local label called Hair Hurt.
Which was us.
Which was you guys. Okay, very good. So
ended up being Adam and Danny.
It was Adam and Danny's label. Okay, and a number of releases came out on that, including when the green became Waffle Stomper. Right at the end, you changed your name to Waffle Stomper.
Yes. Well, it was after Ben Davis left.
Oh,
Because then it was really like, okay, he's no longer in the band.
so we have
need
to
to
have
do
a
something
new
else.
name. Okay, that was a thing back then.
And the whole thing, like the music kind of just shifted.
Okay, Ben was an influence.
Because they were already a band when I joined them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They were called Cousin It when I saw them. They played the Bellevue Y.
Oh, I remember Cousin It. Okay, I remember that there was a band called Cousin It. I don't remember seeing them. So here's the thing. A short while after that incident with the tape, there was a show at the old Firehouse. We've talked about the old Firehouse a lot on this podcast. It was a big teen center on the east side, so across Lake Washington from Seattle in a town called Redmond. Maybe 15-minute drive. Get out there. Sometimes there'd be shows with upwards of, 500-600 people, depending on the bands. Jawbreaker played there a lot when they'd come through town. It was a great place. And the Green would play out there. So
We played there a lot.
I would oftentimes bring stuff from Excursion, and I'd sell records, or I'd sell t-shirts or whatever. I'd have a little merch table if one of my bands was playing, or I'd be up front taking photos, but I was always running around. I was getting to know all the people that worked out there. And you were standing by yourself in the back of the room, and there was another band playing. And
That sounds like me.
right, kind of with your arms crossed.
Yep.
I feel like you had a flight jacket on.
Was it? Well, it probably wasn't a flight jacket, but it was probably a gross green jacket with the Born Against patch on the back.
Yes, but it had a skinhead kind of look to it.
Oh, well, that's dumb.
But it was probably the gross green jacket, and
Yeah.
I just associate it that way in my head.
Yeah, it was
right?
Value Village was maybe $3. I couldn't afford a flight jacket.
That's fucking great.
Nor
Good
did I
price.
want one.
$3 Value Village jacket.
And it was just about the grossest shimmery green I could find.
Nice. And you sewed a Born Against patch on it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's
that's
the way
one
to
of
do
my hand silk screened patches because I
So-
used to do that all the time.
So for whatever reason, I was happy about something that was happening on stage. And I looked around and saw you and was like, oh, that guy. But I didn't think Derek the Green, Matt, has created this thing. I just knew that I knew you involved with the fire. So I kind of walked over up to you and I was like, dude, this band is awesome. And you looked at me like your eyes kind of got wide and you just looked at me like you are crazy for talking to me. And then I was like, oh, I think I even said, oh, never mind, and walked away.
Do you remember what band it was?
No.
Oh.
No.
Was I working there at the time? Because I worked at the old Firehouse for a while.
That could have been it. I know that, but see, the
Although
thing
I was
is,
still going to almost every show. It was 15 minutes from my house.
exactly. So I walked away, and in my head I went, oh, wait a minute. That's that Derek dude from the Green. Oh, he must think it's weird that I just came up and talked to him like we were friends.
No, I just have social anxiety.
Right, but in my head, I'm trying to figure out, because that wasn't a normal interaction for me,
Right.
But that's the very first time that I can remember having an interaction with you. And then right after that, everything was just cool. You were just a guy that was around and everything was fine. And I don't know how long after that it would be that we had our first conversation, but it had to be within weeks.
Yeah, maybe. It all seems like it's so far, but it's so close. That proximity, that time, in that what is this, summer, probably.
Yeah, I would say
Feels like 3 years, but it's probably
1993. Oh, into 1994.
Yeah.
Okay.
When things were booming.
But I was someone that you had a problem with, and that changed. So what changed it in your head?
I don't think that at that point, I probably did think I had a problem because I think Matt had convinced me that I needed to have a problem. If that makes sense.
It does.
And
with him, it does. I don't know.
But I think he's probably still like that to this day.
Probably.
Yeah. If
Chaos follows him.
Yes, and yeah. That's just the way it is. But I'm a person of very few. Well, I don't think I have any enemies. Maybe I do and I don't know it, but I do hold grudges.
Right.
But it's got to actually be something.
Right. There has been something that happened. I get that. I really do. So it's just, we knew who each other were.
Yes.
We'd had interactions. There's nothing before that. Before I moved to Seattle, we had never been in the same place unless we'd accidentally been at the same show.
Yeah, that would be it.
Like at the party hall, your band might have played and I might have been there. That kind of thing.
I only ever played one show there.
Which was with this band, Orchard Manor.
Orchard Manor.
Okay, we'll get to that.
That's the only time I ever played there.
Okay, but you went to shows there.
Yes.
Okay. So you were one of the people who was making the trek in from the east side.
But not very often.
No.
Because there was something about the party hall that I'm like, yeah, I don't really feel like getting into that today.
Because it was kind of dangerous.
Yeah. It was like, yeah, I'm just going to stay home.
All right. Now, regardless of this, whatever this weird rivalry thing is, within a few months, I was becoming more friends with people on the east side, people that you knew, and then we would just be somewhere. We'd be at a party or at a show, maybe at Elsbeth's, or, like when shows would happen in that back room garage thing, whatever it was. Yep. We just became friendly. And I'm not the kind of person who's going to like let it go. Like after that first time, I'm like, oh, no. Now that I've realized that what I had done, like I'm going to kill that guy with kindness until he's my bro. Like, because I didn't dislike your band.
I get so awkward that I just melt.
Yeah. Whichever one, whatever it's going to take. So
I tend to get really awkward and just kind of close up.
Here's the other thing too. This I think is probably what we haven't figured out yet. Is that 10:07 ended and Red Rocket started, and I was immediately involved with Red Rocket.
Yes.
Because I had done the 10:07 stuff, and Matt was singing and playing guitar, but Eric, who played drums in the Green and Waffle Stomper, was playing drums in Red Rocket. So at the Red Rocket shows, your guys' crew and my crew would be in the same place. And we just ended up we just had to get along because we were sharing friends at this point.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And, at that one point, Red Rocket practiced at my house, and I lived with Brian.
Right. Brian, who played guitar for Red Rocket.
Yes. Sorry.
No, it's good.
Brian Renfro.
But
that house, which we called the Potato Farm, everyone was there all the time.
Right.
I'd come home from work, be 30 people, it seemed like, sitting on the couch. Maybe not 30, it's probably an exaggeration, but it felt like that every day.
Did you like it or did you hate it?
I hated it.
But looking back,
I loved it at the same time.
Okay, that's what I mean. You're smiling right now.
Well, it's not. It's because I'm laughing, thinking about some of the things that happened at that place. But like Matt Matsuoka, we would have wrestling matches there on the floor. We'd get rid of the dining room and just have leg wrestling and all kinds of weird stuff.
And he instigated that.
Oh yeah, he loved that stuff. We had one 8x4 table that we would run and slide across.
Matt Matsuoka, who made me go to judo practice. I had to buy a judo outfit so we could learn judo and jujitsu a few years later.
Oh. Yep, Brian was into one of those martial arts and kept trying to here, stand there. Let me punch you. No, you're not going to punch me. I'm not going to let you punch me in the chest. They loved that stuff. Never understood it. I don't like violence of any kind. Really.
I don't think you want to be physical with a person like that.
No.
You get weird when someone comes up and talks to you.
I do.
When you're not prepared for it.
Yes.
Perhaps grappling isn't your vibe.
Well, but at that point, if I had enough to drink, it was just like, bring it on. Let's go.
Well, had enough to drink, Derek, is a different animal.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole different animal.
We can talk about that, too. I haven't seen that animal much.
No,
but
that animal's somewhere else.
It's like a Hulk that doesn't grow bigger, that just grows dancier.
I will not disagree with that. I like to dance when I drink. That's about it though.
There was kind of like there would always be a lot of like woohoo or like like you, so you could sometimes hear that Dance Hulk Derek was already out if you like showed up at someone's house or at a party and it was that time frame. Dance Hulk Derek you could hear him from the other room and like kind of maybe Michaelanne and I would exchange glances like uh-oh, here it comes, and then out the door you come flying with a bottle in each hand.
With clothes on, hopefully. Not always.
Oh, I never. Yeah, it was with clothes on. Or, okay. I mean, if or boxer shorts.
Yeah. Well, that was common too. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good enough. I'm saying that we meet in the period between my accidentally insulting your band by comparing it to a fantastic band and us having to be in the same place because of Red Rocket.
And I think it could also be that I did not like that band very much.
Oh.
Why? Well, I was just never a fan.
They were good. Anyway, regardless. That's not what we're talking about. But since we've pinned it down, we're going to do what we do on this show. And before we get into us, we're going to go all the way back and talk about you.
But one more question.
Okay.
When did you cut your hair? Because I remember you with long hair.
I have long hair now. So you remember me.
I remember you with really long hair.
Right.
I remember you back with the bandana, long hair, maybe at Elsbeth's house or something, at a Link show, maybe.
That all sounds right. I can't tell you exactly when I did it.
But you were in Seattle with long hair.
When I moved to Seattle, I had long hair. I always wore black bandana.
Yep.
And so it seems like forever. But I moved to Seattle in December of 1992. And in June, mid to late June of 1993, I leave on tour with Undertow for the U.S. tour with Sparkmarker and Undertow. When I left on that tour, I had a shaved head that had grown out like a 1/4 inch that I had bleached blonde in that way that I have very dark hair. So it just was kind of like an orange. So I had this like fuzzy orange head. So it's only 6 months of long hair while I'm in Seattle.
Wow.
And probably, I would say that's probably May before I just go, forget it. And I didn't get a haircut. I went into my bathroom and got the clippers and went bald. Because that was kind of, it was either one extreme or the other. The middle never worked for me very well.
Oh, I tried it for my senior picture. The middle.
The middle?
Yeah, it's atrocious.
Me too, it's atrocious.
The year before, shoulder length hair. Senior picture.
I couldn't get comfortable with it.
And then 2 weeks later, shaved my head.
Really, I don't know. Yeah. So you remember the long hair. Okay, so can we go back now?
Yes, we can go back.
Who are you and where do you come from?
Where do I come from? Well, I come from Kansas originally, Wichita. Born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. Kind of a weird place, but really glad I got out of there.
When did you get out?
I moved from Kansas when I was 8 or 9 to Oklahoma City.
Okay, so
it's basically the exact same thing. Went from one mega church to another mega church that were somehow related.
Mega churches in the 80s.
Yeah.
Pentecostal?
Just they call themselves non-denominational Christians.
No. Was there dancing and speaking in tongues?
No.
Oh, there was not.
There was just lots of hand raising and
there was
clapping and singing.
Hand raising and clapping and singing, but no one spoke in tongues.
No, never.
Okay. That's probably the delineation. That's probably the difference between the churches that you went to and the churches that I went to.
Yeah, because these were humongous places. That's like.
So they evolved into, so at some point Benny Hinn came through on tour and changed all that. Probably knocked a bunch of people out from a distance.
Yeah, I don't know. I was never really into it.
You know who Benny Hinn is, right?
I know the name. Benny
Hinn is that guy. I don't know where he's from, but he slays people in the spirit and he heals people. He does faith healing.
Is he the one that
he puts his hand,
knocks people down?
And sometimes there'll be like a whole row of people coming and he's just like slapping them all on the forehead and they're all falling over. And then every once in a while he gets like really caught up and turns and like throws it like a fireball at the crowd and it knocks down like hundreds of people.
I know exactly who you're talking about. No, that did not happen.
There's one here. Okay. Here's the thing about Benny Hinn, and I know we're not talking about Benny Hinn, but at one point, there's one video where he throws his hands up and an entire section of the balcony far away falls down, and all the people fall down. Think about the amount of planning you have to do
I wonder
to
how
get
much they got paid.
That many people to fake it. No, see, here's what I'm saying.
They got extra wafers for communion.
But they would all have to stay quiet about it. And they would have to be people that other people knew, right? I think Benny Hinn possesses the ability to knock people out at a distance.
That would be fantastic.
He's like, yeah.
I would use that now.
Well, he's used it to make a lot of money.
I'm sure.
And there's probably a lot of people listening that are like, no, it's exactly what he says it is. And, okay.
Good for him. Yeah.
It just so happens that he's made millions and millions of dollars doing it.
Yeah. So,
you brought up mega churches.
Yeah. Well, that was how we basically moved from that place to this other place.
Oh, so you're in your parents' mind, you were moving church to church.
Well, I don't know what it was in their mind. They were a job, job, some kind of healthcare thing.
So when you were in Kansas, in Wichita, you went to grade school there.
Yes.
And you said that you were a kid, like you said you were
third grade.
Until third grade. And you were a little kid version of the guy that I tried to talk to?
Well,
did you stand there with a mean face and one end of a jump rope on the playground trying to get kids to play with you?
I wish that was the case. No. My first trip to the principal's office is kindergarten, because I felt as though I got picked on a lot. So I would spend tons of time taking chunks of blacktop up to the top of the big wooden toys. So when it was recess time, I bolted all the way to the top and would throw chunks of blacktop at kids.
That was how you spent recess.
Yes.
Like a King Kong.
Hoarding weapons.
Oh, I like this a lot.
And so my first experience was I ended up in the principal's office for... Luckily, I did not hit anyone.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. Did you smack someone in the head?
No, I probably would have killed him. So luckily, I was a kid with horrible aim and not very much power.
Now, these chunks of blacktop, were they like rocks or were they big pieces that would kind of shatter when they hit the ground?
No, what I remember is they were like chunks of, I don't know, they were probably, when I'm thinking now, they were like 8 inches, but they were probably like, a couple inches. But they were just part of the playground where it had broken off.
Sure.
And I took them up there, chucked them down at people, and then went around with a boombox.
Were you
listening to Van Halen?
I like that a lot. But were you throwing the chunks at specific people who you felt had wronged you? Or it wasn't just anyone that came along?
Oh, no.
So
not just anyone.
So there could be someone out there who felt special because you let them come by.
Yeah, and, my neighbor who lived 4 houses down, we lived out on a kind of a dirt road, a cow pasture across the street, but my neighbor punched my front 2 teeth out when I was 1st or 2nd grade.
At school?
At the bus stop.
At the bus stop.
So it was constant.
What did you do to deserve that?
Well, he said, I remember, he's like, we're going to play tag. And I said, I'm not playing tag. And he said, punch me in the face, tag, you're it. And then one of my teeth was in my mouth and the other one was hanging.
Oh.
So then I got on the bus and I went to school.
With blood in your mouth?
Yeah, holding a tooth. And then the bus driver saw it and took us to the principal's office.
The bus driver saw the hit or saw that you had been hit?
Yeah, that we were fighting.
Oh.
I guess you call it a fight. I really just got hit. I've never been much of a fighter.
Yeah.
Only when cornered and severely provoked.
Okay.
When it's self-defense, which is not very often.
So what happened in that situation? At that point where they're like, well, you're the asphalt chucker. You probably did something.
Chucker. No, I honestly, that was so long ago now. I really just remember that everything all of a sudden was okay.
Oh, okay.
And then I probably had to go home.
Did you stay friends with that kid?
No, I never really liked him.
Okay. So even though he was 4 houses down, you guys didn't play.
No, he was older. I think he was in 6th grade.
Oh, just beating on a little kid.
Yeah, and he had a mentally handicapped brother who they would all pick on, and it was constant horribleness. So.
Oh, what a nice story.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you moved the hell out of that place.
But yeah,
did anything else significant happen before the 3rd grade?
Well, I got in trouble a lot. Brought home chewing tobacco. That's my first chewing tobacco. I think it was like 2nd or 3rd grade.
Grade school chewing tobacco. I also had experience with this.
The packets, like the Skull, like Bandit.
Oh, the ones
something.
that were actually in the little bags. Skull Bandits. I think. Are you sure they had those back then?
Oh, they had them.
So you put the little packet in your lip, and you were...
And then I barfed.
You're in 3rd grade, so you probably got wicked rush out of it. You threw up.
Put it in my lunchbox and brought it home. Then blamed it on this kid. His name was Harry.
Now, did you put the one packet in your lunchbox or the whole little tin?
No, there were multiple packets.
Okay.
Because I was going to try this again. And not barf.
So you didn't actually pull the sticky chewing tobacco out of...
No.
Like Red Mint, out of the packet.
I have never done that.
I did that.
Yeah.
There was a bunch of us that did that in grade school. We were, I think, in the 5th grade.
Not good.
And then all through junior high, because I was a wrestler, the idea was that if you had to do chew because you spit, and that would get rid of water weight, and it would help you make weight.
Ugh, sounds terrible.
It was awful.
Sounds absolutely
Believe
terrible.
me, that habit was broken by the time I was out of junior high.
Yeah, I think I only ever had it that one time.
Oh, okay.
And it was disgusting.
Well, you didn't power through. You didn't get to the point where you could just enjoy the weird
because my mom took it
that you got. Oh, and now she took it. Did you get in trouble?
Well, I blamed it on someone else, but I still got in trouble.
But you blamed it on someone else, but you really did it.
Yeah, so then I got him in trouble as well.
How did you get it? It was stolen, right?
I don't remember who gave it to us. It was one of us. They stole it from their dad or something.
Right, because then a kid can't go in and buy.
You probably could have.
Really? You could buy... A grade schooler could buy chewing tobacco.
I bet you could.
It was Kansas.
It was Kansas.
It was Kansas in the 80s.
It was right outside of Wichita, so it was like a weird suburb with a lot of dirt roads. It seems like you could do anything.
Right. Kind of a no man's land.
But it probably wasn't.
So you got in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
You were used to trouble.
Yes.
Did you listen to music, or was third grade is pretty young? So did that enter into it at all?
I'm trying to think. I think that all started when I moved to Oklahoma.
Okay. So let's.
So I had an older brother, who's 2 years older.
Okay.
So it was radio music. That's pretty much it. But the only things I really remember are from Oklahoma, which were, I was there for 4 years.
Well, yeah. I mean, and those are 4 formative years. If you were there so you moved in the third grade or summer after?
It was, I believe, it might have been in the middle of it.
Okay. So that means you did 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th in Oklahoma?
Yes.
Okay.
I might have moved in 7th grade to Washington.
Well, that makes sense. So you're into junior high at this, and that's a big, important chunk. There's a move. So now you're the kid coming into a new school. You have trouble. You're a fighter, even though you don't want to fight. You like to get up on high things and throw things down.
I was more of just an ass.
You were an ass.
I was the kid that would get yelled at for smiling.
You felt that you were.
That's my uncomfortable thing.
You get uncomfortable and then you smile?
I smile and I laugh hysterically because that's my defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Super not tough.
Right.
I mean, oh yeah, look, it's the smiling kid.
And so you would get in trouble with the teachers, or you get in trouble with the kids?
Teachers.
Teachers would be
they would throw
what
erasers at you.
What do you think is funny?
Yes, which would make me laugh even harder.
How do teachers not understand that?
They don't care.
Okay, so you come in to this new school with a rep.
Well, maybe.
So what was it like coming into a new school at that age and dealing with new kids?
Well, I just didn't like it. I did not like being disrupted. So, but the good thing is when I moved here, through my parents, the church that we were going to, I met one of the most influential people in my life musically ever, which was my friend Dusty. He had an older brother, 2 older brothers that were just punk kids.
So this is the 3rd grade.
4th, yeah.
Going into the 4th grade, you meet Dusty. Dusty's got older brothers who are punks?
Yep.
What year?
Well,
85?
Yeah, it's around like 84, 85.
Okay.
Because I remember...
In the middle of the country?
Yes.
Where were they getting stuff?
Well, there was... Norman, Oklahoma was a big music scene.
Okay.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I get introduced to is, there's Minor Threat, The Dead Milkmen, Uniform Choice, NOTA, all that stuff.
It's got to be 85.
I'm trying to... Yeah, that I don't know about. For sure.
Okay. So these are all the things you remember early on, and you heard hardcore.
Yes.
Or first.
Yes, we would actually X up.
How old?
And we had like X's on our shoes and
so in the 4th grade you were listening to Minor Threat and Xing up in 1985.
Well, on our shoes and stuff. Well, we'd wear different colored Converse and like had the straight edge X all over them. Yeah.
Grade school.
We had no idea what we were doing.
Incredibly impressive, though.
We had no idea what we were doing.
You did.
You can't when you're that young.
No, of course not.
But we were under the leadership of the older brothers.
And the older brothers were like, you're straight edge.
Yeah,
kids.
like Uniform Choice, leather jackets, and spikes, all that stuff. And then we go out, they'd had a skate ramp in their backyard. And
wow, what an incredible influence.
Yeah, and he had a full half pipe. Only problem was it was like 6 feet wide, so it was incredibly dangerous. It was like 12 feet tall, almost maybe like 6 inches of vert, and then it was just 6 feet wide or 8 feet wide.
So it was because it was made
so
of
dangerous.
It was made of sheets of 4x8 plywood. That's a standard size.
So dangerous.
You should actually go. It should be 16 because it should be 2 pieces of 4x8.
There was no room for that.
No room for that, right?
Or it was out in the middle of the woods.
Or at the very least, if you lay the plywood the other way, you end up with a 12-foot ramp. But even that's maybe a little too.
Yeah, I tried to drop in once, never again.
Dropping it, so as long as people understand, was it from the tail or from the trucks?
From the tail.
Okay, so you've put your tail at the top of the ramp.
Yep.
And the coping, did it have coping?
It was steel.
Steel coping, so it was a steel pipe bolted in at the top of the ramp on both sides. And you put your tail on there, and then you put your front foot forward on your board, standing the way you would stand on and then you lean forward until
until the board goes out from underneath you and you slide down on your back.
If you lean too slow, since the back wheels touch the top part of the ramp first, they'll roll and you'll fall. You have to go. You have to commit.
I did
and you
not
have to
commit.
go. You have to lean over far enough that the board, the weight, and the gravity pulls you. You fall forward over it, and then your front wheels come down and hit the deck, and then you roll in the transition into the flat bottom. And then once you learn to do that, you're set. Because once you can drop in, you can pump on that transition and on the other side, gaining momentum, and do a trick on the other side.
Yes, but I am very lucky I did not make it because it was so dangerous.
The reason I went through that is because you say, I dropped in on that ramp, and there's tons of people that know exactly what you mean,
right.
And there's a ton of other people that have no idea what that language means. But I feel like we've explained it fairly well now. It's a big thing. The first time you drop in on a ramp is huge.
Yeah, and there was this weird ladder you had to climb up the side. Like, this is not safe.
It's like ramps are like forts.
Yeah, I even tried, starting in the middle of the ramp and like pumping to get something. I don't know how many pairs of pants I lost. Like full on like pockets ripped off. And
so you were able to drop in?
Nope.
Oh, you never
ever
did.
Tried it again.
Crashed the one time.
Yep, never tried it again. But this is also dumb kids, no helmets, no pads, nothing, and it just hurt.
Wait, you were just in your jeans, no knee pads.
Nothing. Maybe a flannel shirt and some jeans and some Converse.
Old school.
That's just what we wore. Yeah. Every day. Yeah, that's just it.
Flannel shirt, Converse, jeans.
Yep.
What real punk rockers looked like in the 80s.
I guess.
If you had a leather jacket.
I didn't have a leather jacket.
I know, but most people. I always laugh when I see a show that's made now about punks in the 80s. Because it's usually they try to show a room full of people with leather jackets and spikes and like piercings in their nose and all this stuff. And it's like, no,
there was no piercings.
You might know one person like that, but that, who knows where they were getting their money to be able to buy leather.
Right. But his older brothers did have combat boots with, the tight rolled up jeans and suspenders.
Oh, so they were going for like a youth brigade skinhead look.
But but without the shaved head.
Okay.
Which was, shorter hair, but I have pictures of them somewhere. I'll have to find them.
You brought over a ton of pictures and flyers today.
From weird,
awesome. From weird old stuff. So there's the blog page for this episode is going to have some great stuff on it.
Or embarrassing stuff.
Whatever.
Yeah,
it's all the same.
It's all the same. It happened. Can't turn that off.
Okay, so I have to say, that's a real, I feel like if that's the music you got into in the 3rd and 4th grade, it's almost like you got into that music before you got into regular music.
It was a combination. There was radio music from my brother. And I can't even remember dates. Like, so my brother was like, Mr., all that type stuff. So I've got that side and then this side. And we would bring things like Run DMC over. And his older brothers would make fun of us and tear them up. And then, here, listen to this instead. So I remember going to the mall to buy cassettes from Discord. When they were still the old black, old ones.
That's good.
And I had to sneak out of step. Was that? I'm not sure which one it was. In my pocket because his parents were very religious.
Right, and the thing is, I remember this too with both of those Minor Threat cassettes. Is that they had the lyrics printed on the inside. You couldn't let your parents hear it, and you couldn't let them find it because every fuck in every song is printed in there, right?
Yes.
So it was like so much cursing and so much like
we got caught on a regular basis, and then we had to watch the televangelists.
Wait,
as punishment.
They used watching televangelists as punishment for listening to music they didn't like.
Yes, and then we would stay up and watch 120 Minutes Later, and The Young Ones, and all that stuff.
Sure, that makes sense. But in what world do you punish a child by making them watch religion? Like the thing that there's
a funny one. Because I look back now, that's some of the best stuff ever. I would never do that to someone, but it's funny.
Okay, so I would say that of all the guests I've had, you really, other than maybe Soto, because Soto was real young into it too, you definitely got a very early dose of punk rock and hardcore, and it seems like it got into your blood.
It did, but it also left on a regular basis and would come back. Because to this day, I still love hip-hop.
Yeah.
And then, there was just the things, they would make fun of us. And then I think the first record I ever bought was maybe Tears for Fears.
Okay.
Or Dire Straits.
Tears for Fears is better.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Okay.
But there's like, that was the popular music.
Yeah.
at the time like, oh yeah, I'll go buy this record.
I think that's all right, though. You told me earlier you love pop music.
I do. I love pop music.
Right.
It brings me joy.
See, the thing about it is I'm going to theorize that because you got punk rock and hardcore so early, at the same time as you were discovering music on the radio, it wasn't like you chose to replace the radio music and the pop music that you already listened to with this other type of music. You just incorporated all this music into the stuff that you liked kind of at the normal time for people to take this stuff in.
Yeah, listening to Love is a Battlefield and then go listen to something else at the same time. Yeah.
Love is a Battlefield is awesome.
I know. I can remember sitting in my room listening to it on my crappy little radio. And then singing We Are the World along with it later. I do have a cassette version of that.
Of We Are the World?
Me singing it. No, me singing it.
Okay, that is a whole nother thing.
And I am this high-pitched little kid singing, like doing a falsetto that is horrendous.
I have always hated the We Are the World song.
Me too. And I still have the 7-inch and a cassette copy of me singing it. That was my first recording ever of myself.
So you've been recording yourself ever since.
Yes, and that was like, I'm going to do this. Oh, I committed. It's terrible. But I committed. That's the point. That's the good thing.
Okay, so I think that coming back to the music and the kids and moving to the new place, you had friends now.
Yes.
You had a crew.
Yes.
Of guys. How did other kids feel about you? Your group of guys?
I had 2 different groups. Because there was that, like the punk kind of group, and then there was the nerdy kids where let's go shoot rockets out in the field. Friends.
Those should be the same
But
people.
they weren't. Because there was a proximity. I mean, I didn't go to school with these punk friends.
Right.
I didn't know any of those kids at school.
Were you fairly rural? You talk about shooting rockets out in the field?
No, there was just lots of undeveloped land.
Oh, okay. So it was undeveloped, like suburban land.
Right.
It wasn't
this is in Edmond, Oklahoma, outside of Oklahoma City.
So you weren't like hunting and fishing?
No.
You had none of that in your...
Well, I've never been hunting in my life.
Did you know people that did stuff like that?
Except for people.
Oh, please.
With our friends. We'd hunt each other and shoot bottle rockets at each other.
Oh. Bottle rocket war.
Oh, yeah. That was
what kind of launchers did you use?
Usually hands.
Oh, you fired right from the hands. You would just hold in.
Yeah, or throw it.
Bill and I discovered PVC tubes were great launchers.
We didn't have that. My dad would make us rubber band guns that looked like M16s. He would cut them out and paint them camouflage so we could run around and shoot rubber bands at each other. But then he taught us to make bow and arrows. That was a bad idea.
Did you shoot bow and arrows at each other?
My brother shot one into my sister's leg while she was running away.
Oh, did she fall?
Oh, it went right through her heel.
Oh, it came out the other side?
No, just like
it stuck into her heel. But I guess I want the vision. I want to see your sister running away, your brother firing the arrow hits the ankle, and she just falls? Or did she like hop? Or did she? Come on.
Oh man, I can't remember that. Because I would just shoot the arrows up in the air and then run. It's like...
For me, I think the funny version is the arrow goes into her ankle, and then she just goes stiff and just falls straight down.
I know that didn't happen. There was lots of screaming, though.
Lots of screaming, and it was probably horrible.
It was a sharpened dowel.
Sharpened dowel.
Like a quarter-inch dowel sharpened in a pencil sharpener.
Let me say that of the possible outcomes that involve that sharpened dowel hitting your sister as she ran away, that's probably one of the best.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hitting the heel. There's lots of meat.
And you saw all this.
Yeah.
Okay, at which point did parents or authorities become involved in what had just happened?
Oh, it was just my parents. You know, that kind of stuff happened all the time at our house, though.
Right, but did they see it? Were they outside when it happened?
No.
Or did someone have to go in and tell them that there had been an accident?
Yes. And then it was just like, oh, take it out. Okay.
Oh, they weren't panicked? They weren't like,
no, it wasn't like go to the hospital or anything.
What have you done? No?
No, but we had a lot of that. They might have, but I don't remember that.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember like chasing each other with baseball bats, tennis rackets. And,
I have to say, for the amount of sharpening wood with knives that myself and the neighborhood kids did, there was very, very little blood or actual injury that came out. I remember getting hit with the tip of a sharpened sword that was supposed to be like a pirate sword, and I had a thin t-shirt on, and it caught the shirt and pulled it along my chest, and I actually had a lightly bleeding scratch across my chest, and that's the worst injury that I got. And we would try to stab each other, we would smack each other. I mean, we literally,
Yeah, we didn't...
We made homemade bows and arrows and fired stuff at each other, and we never hit. We played a
But were
game.
you trying to?
Well, no, obviously you didn't want to actually, but
Right.
there should have been an accident.
There should have.
We all were running with sharpened sticks for
there should have been one.
We played a game where we fired a hunting arrow, like with one of those hunting tips, with a bow and arrow up in the air, and then all ran in different directions
Oh, yeah,
to
that's
see if
what
you
I would
could
do.
run away before it came down.
Yeah.
And we didn't do this once or twice. We did this a lot.
Yeah, see, we didn't.
The shooting the arrow up in the air game was a standard game.
Yes, but that was taken away relatively quickly after the ankle or the heel shooting.
That's all you need is one actual
Yeah,
injury.
then it's like, nah, okay, go ride your crappy BMX.
Yeah, okay. So you got into doing that?
Well, I was just a little bit of everything.
Did you skateboard?
I did mainly from my friend Dusty. It was they had that half pipe, and
Yeah, of course. We were talking about skateboarding already. I'm
but
sorry.
I didn't
don't
have
know why
a real skateboard at that point.
That's okay. So that's, I guess, I got caught up in the dropping in thing that I did.
I might have had
What
one of
were you
those little
skating?
banana boards.
You were riding a half pipe with a banana.
No. When I actually owned a skateboard, the first one I had.
Okay.
I can't remember. They had gators. They had all kinds of stuff.
Right. If they had Gator, they had high end skateboarding gear. It's Vision
Maybe.
Gator is pro level gear.
Right.
But so did you ever get a good skateboard like that?
I did when so we moved. Well, we came to Seattle to visit my cousins who had never met before, and they were really into skateboarding. So they took us to Time Travelers.
Mm-hmm.
So I bought my first deck and set the whole setup at Time Travelers downtown.
Time Travelers, which was on 2nd Avenue. Soto and I went over this.
I can't even remember it now, but I mean,
It's changed so much down there. There used to be a parking lot next to it, which is now developed up, so it's
Yes.
almost impossible
You
to
can't find
recognize the building that's there.
I've tried to find it. I'm like, no, I don't even know.
I found it on Google Street View.
Oh. Yes, I bought a Christian Hosoi
Your first real
Hammerhead.
deck was a Hosoi,
hammerhead.
which
It was gray
Yeah.
and pink.
Was it Hosoi Skates or was it through Alva? I think he had a couple of different deals through different companies.
I don't remember. All I really remember is my brother got one as well, and he liked the gull-wing trucks, so that's what I had to get.
You started with gull wings.
Yes,
And
and
I
then
know-
all of my friends like, oh yeah, haha, they were in their
You know that
independent.
Yeah,
shirts
there's that
and stuff.
face that you make when you say gull wing.
Yeah.
Like it's automatically you
they
can
were
sneer
terrible.
as you're saying it. Now let's
The
just
early
say this,
ones, I did
though.
not like them, but
gull wing was the terrible of the acceptable.
yes,
Because there's gull wing, tracker, and independent, and thunder, and ventures.
Thunder.
Thunder trucks
I don't even remember those.
were good. They were, I think, Indy made them. These were all good. Ventures broke. People liked Ventures for some reason, but they broke. But they started getting better as time went on. But seriously, the classic. I mean, I feel like you have to go with the classic. You have to go with Indies.
I had no idea really though. I'm in this like, whoa, look at this place. I'm in this big city for the first time ever. And then, well, it was big compared to where I was from. And then you walk into Time Travelers and it was like, whoa.
Amazing. Records
What
on
in
the
the
wall.
hell is this place?
T-shirts that you've never seen. I bought
It was like, I can't believe my dad is letting me come in here.
Yeah, the first thing I bought at Time Travelers was a Minor Threat 7-inch, the last 7-inch.
The Salad Days one?
The Salad Days 7-inch, exactly. And a Sid Vicious before and after t-shirt. It had a picture of Sid Vicious and then a picture of a skeleton, and the T and after was a hypodermic needle. And my parents let me buy that.
Huh.
At Time Travelers, probably
Weird.
We could have been there on the same day.
That was the one and only time I ever went there.
Nice.
I don't know how long it was there after that. Because so this is when I was still, what, 6th grade maybe?
All right, so you came out just to visit
Yes, we were here for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and then you went back. And was everyone just disappointed with being there after you went back?
I was so depressed when I went home. I was like, this is terrible. And I think the whole family kind of felt that way. And then my dad got a job up here, so we moved here.
So was he like putting in applications like behind everyone's back while he was here? Did you not know that that's what he was trying to do?
I have no idea. I just know we had never met my brother or my dad's sister and his entire family, who were the cool family, who were like, oh, they ride skateboards and all this good stuff. Yeah, I was severely depressed. I'm like, I have to go back there. This is awful here.
And you got to.
And I got to, yeah.
How much time from the visit to the move?
It was probably a year and a half.
Oh, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And so you think you were severely depressed for a year and a half in the 6th grade? 6th to
Well,
7th grade.
Not for that long, but it took a while to get over it. Because I'm missing out on all of this good stuff.
Okay. Do girls come into the picture with you?
Always.
Always.
Yes, from a very young age.
Okay, so you had a thing for the ladies.
Yes.
When you were throwing the asphalt down on people, were you throwing it at girls?
Of course not.
Okay, because
no one does that.
You might if you were, because there's that whole thing like you hit the girl because you like her, you push her down because you like her, that people supposedly did. You weren't that kind of guy.
No. No, I was extremely shy.
Extremely shy, but you were...
But I had a box of notes from these girls forever.
Grade school notes?
Yeah.
From girls?
Yeah.
So the girls were responding to you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, hold on. This is another side of it. So you were a little grade school Casanova.
I think
you were
so.
a little Rocky Votolato.
Probably.
Do you remember any names?
Nope.
Did you kiss a girl in the playground?
I did.
How old?
Probably second or third grade.
Second or third grade? And it was a big deal.
Oh, it was a huge deal.
Where were you?
And then that was it.
Now, how did you guys decide to do it? Were there people daring you to do it?
No. Not that I remember. No.
You just walked up because you saw a movie the night before?
Notes exchanging. Because I remember I would watch her. She was what was it? Maybe 3 or 4 bus stops ahead of mine where she would get off and I would just watch her.
Oh, wait, you'd watch her walk from the bus?
Yeah.
So let me...
And it's really small. So
no, I know,
knew each other.
But when you got on the bus, that means you had to pick a seat with a window on a certain side because you'd know that you'd be able to watch her from there.
Yes, but I don't really remember ever really being that excited about it on the bus.
Okay.
But it's so long ago. But I remember certain things.
Do you remember the name of that girl?
I don't.
You don't?
I remember where in proximity to that house I lived in, where it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is something that continued, you would say, your whole life?
I guess. Yes. I was known as the kissing bandit. I would kiss people and never talk to them again.
Wait, up until like a few years ago?
Yeah. Up until I got married.
Is that it? Up until you got married? Okay. So you didn't, so that way you looked at me when I walked up and tried to talk to you, that wasn't how you looked at girls, or was it? And was that what they were responding to?
I think that is how I was, because I didn't know April. I knew April Votolato.
Okay, so
for years, who she was at least.
Right.
But I never talked to her. She had to actually talk to me.
Okay.
Before we actually even talked.
So you were just a weird guy that wouldn't talk to her, who's when she came around, you were kind of giving her a weird look, like you had an eye on her. So she knew that you had seen her.
Oh yeah,
but you
she
weren't
knew
gonna
that I
talk
knew her
to her.
friends.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just that guy.
All right. So you guys, is there anything more significant about the middle of the country and the mega churches and the shit you got into there that we need to talk about before we get you to Seattle?
That's where I got my start playing music.
Oh, that's where you actually started playing music there.
Yes.
How?
Well, in the school band.
Okay.
That's a whole different story. But I wanted to play the violin because a girl that I liked played the violin. Parents wouldn't let me because it's too annoying. And then I wanted to play the drums.
Right.
And they wouldn't let me.
Because it's too annoying. I
ended up playing the trumpet because my brother did. I got a crappy used trumpet and he got a new one because I got his old crappy one.
You know how to play horns?
I could pick it up and do it again. I haven't done it for a long time, but I could play almost every brass instrument at one point.
Why weren't you in a ska band?
I never really enjoyed that.
The whole ska thing happened, and you are a guy that can do the horn, and you didn't do it.
That is true. Yeah, no. Never had that interest.
By the way, the fact that you can play a trumpet, and I'm assuming other horned instruments that's in the vault here, because I may need you at some point.
Okay.
So it's good to know.
Yeah, and that's what got me interested in playing bass, was my friend Dusty.
Uh-huh.
They had a drum kit. If I could find a picture of it, I was looking for it. It has a big X on the kick drum. And we'd sit there and we'd try to play Minor Threat songs and weird stuff, and it was awful. It was terrible. Yeah,
Minor Threat, who were quite technically proficient.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good music.
And it was more of us like on the bass, like, dum, dum, dum. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, playing like I play now.
I don't know. But yeah, so that is why I started playing the bass.
Okay, because of my friend Dusty. Because of Dusty.
And they were his brothers, they'd play the drums and bass.
And so they had the bass over there, and you'd pick it up and put it on and be like, hey, how do I do this?
This is mine.
But you had a little bit of musical experience with learning.
Yes, and my mom was a pianist in the church, so I knew how to read music early.
Oh.
But I'm more of a memorized.
Did you take piano lessons?
I did in college.
Okay, but your mom didn't teach you piano?
No. I never went to a real piano lessons.
Okay. But she taught other people?
Yes. And my sister took piano lessons, but I never did.
Okay.
No interest.
But you learned to read music?
Yes, in band.
All right. So that happens, and then you move to Seattle.
Yes.
And so you come to Seattle with punk rock background. You're a lady killer. You're a kissing bandit. You definitely will get in trouble. Like you're just this. This is
yes.
all around troublemaking kid. You're into skateboarding. You've got your Hosoi. You're ready to go. You're going into the 8th grade.
7th or 8th grade, yeah.
And you didn't move to Seattle proper. You moved to the east side?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, when we first moved here, we were renting a house right by Factoria.
Okay, that's east side.
Yeah.
East side south.
Yes. And then we ended up living, I think the area is called Woodridge. I think that's what it is. But anyway, we ended up living in a house that was there as well. Just down right along 405.
Right, and that's not the potato farm. That's later.
No, that's later. And then from there, that's when I did all of that, going to middle school and stuff.
Well, now it's the third time you're coming into a new group of kids in another part of the country.
Yes.
And this had to be significant.
It was terrible.
It was so tell me about it.
The only person I still know of from that school that I went to is Jeff Warner.
Oh.
He went to that school. But this is the first school when I met a couple people.
Jeff Warner, who's also in EDGE of QUARREL.
Yes.
And he plays in a band right now, and I feel like an idiot for not remembering it, but I see it on Facebook all the time. I just don't have it off the top of my head. Oh, Riot Radio. He sings and plays guitar in Riot Radio. I haven't had a chance to see him live, but that's Jeff Warner.
I have not heard it.
Okay, well, now we have something on our to-do list.
Okay. So I met a couple of people there that were on the metal side.
Okay.
So we started, and I guess this is where I get my first bass guitar. I was bribed by the band leader to play a baritone. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
It's kind of like a big brass instrument.
Okay.
It still has the keys.
Right.
It's not like a tuba.
Okay.
So in exchange for switching instruments to that, they gave me this like 3/4 scale bass that looked like an SG.
They just gave you one to take it home?
Yes.
And you could keep it?
I had to give it back eventually.
Okay. But they were like, hey, go ahead and take this home and play with it.
Yeah, and I had it for years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you learned to play bass on that thing?
Yes. And it was a terrible bass.
Yeah.
But I wish I had it now.
Just for the memories of it?
Yeah.
Did it rattle?
It did. It was terrible. And it had this weird little sticker cross on it.
Of course, because through your whole thing,
yeah,
he's there watching.
Yeah. But so that's how I got my first bass, and then I ended up meeting some friends, and then we actually would get together in his parents' basement.
Mm-hmm.
It was more of a crawl space. It was just dirt with plastic, and his mom would actually let us play, so we would go down there and play Iron Man and weird crap.
Well, that's cool.
Well, at that point, 7th, 8th grade, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
because we were actually playing.
And so everyone had their instrument.
Yeah, and it was, oh man, I wish I could have a recording. It had to be terrible. But it was still, there was guitar, drums, and bass.
Right.
And that was it.
No one was doing the vocals?
No. And we had to have, we probably played that song for 4 or 5 hours at a time. I don't know what other songs we played.
Under the house, unfinished, crawl space.
Yes.
You probably had to duck down.
No.
Oh, no, it was tall.
Huge.
Okay. But you're walking on plastic on dirt.
Oh, yeah. And it was just kind of dank.
Sure.
It's like,
everything's bad. It's just...
So, yeah, we would go skateboard, and then we'd go in and
then play.
And then his mom would give us wine.
His mom would give you wine.
And then we'd play Excite Bike.
So, 8th grade, you're playing Black Sabbath songs in the unfinished under part of the house, and then you're coming up for lunch, and the mom, the single mom who's allowing this...
No single mom.
Okay, I'm sorry, I was adding some details.
The wine was an evening thing.
She wasn't giving you guys
the
wine
when we were spending the night.
Oh man, okay, that's cool. That actually was more common back then.
Yeah, I guess. No, it wasn't.
Okay,
but I grew up without alcohol in the house.
Okay, so was this
except from when I was a little kid? My dad had beer.
Was this the first drinking that you did?
Oh no.
Oh no, when did you start drinking?
Well, we would, my friend Dusty would steal like a Coors or something. We would drink a beer
Oh,
out in
beer.
Oklahoma.
It didn't have any effect on you.
No, we were sharing beers. I mean, it's like,
right. But it was just to be bad.
I think it was just to do it.
Right.
It's like, oh, let's drink a beer. Okay. That's not very good. Okay, let's drink it anyway.
Yeah, it tasted awful. Yeah, but parents were more. You know what? Maybe I don't know that they're more apt than now. Maybe they do it now. No, maybe they do give kids alcohol now. But I definitely
they were the cool parents, though.
Yeah.
These same people also led me to the first real concert I've ever been to.
Okay,
which was
that's
an arena
a question
show
that I ask. Your first concert was an arena show.
Well, the first secular.
Okay, I love that you said that, you used that word, because you had seen bands perform in mega churches, which is like a concert.
Well, yeah, oh, no, I'd actually seen bands.
Oh, what were they?
Like
Striper?
I never saw Striper.
Okay.
Bloodgood.
Wow.
DC Talk, the Christian rap.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them many times.
Okay.
But yeah, it was still in a church, but it was a concert.
So we're going to have to call it your first, but
my first
Here's
real
the thing though, when you go see a band play at a church, you're still going to a place that you're used to going to. It's common for you. So it's kind of like something happening in your house that, it's not the same as going to your first concert.
Right.
So your first secular concert was?
Cinderella, Winger, and the Bullet Boys. At Key Arena.
That's excellent.
It was horrible. Long Cold Winter Tour. Might have been 89, 88.
I think 88's probably better.
I'm not sure, but the cool parents are the ones that took us.
Okay. The ones that also let you drink the wine.
Yeah, so
Cinderella, Winger,
and the Bullet Boys.
And the Bullet Boys. Okay.
This is around like Skid Row time, all that weird stuff.
Sure.
Which, for some reason, I liked for a little while. Some of it I still do, actually. It's kind of like weird pop metal. But I hated that show. It was the worst.
So you weren't even excited?
No. Like the next day,
for
they were hoarse from screaming.
And you were just like, ugh.
I'm like, this is the worst. They tried to get me to go to Poison after that, and I turned them down. I'm like, I'm not going to that.
But you were a kid who was listening to Minor Threat in junior high. A couple years later, going to Key Arena to watch Winger is not going to do it for you.
No. But it was funny for the theatrical part of it.
Right.
But yes, it was not my thing. I kind of wish I would have gone to see Poison now, though.
On that tour?
I don't know.
Like right around that time, around 88.
They tried to get me to go to that, and they came back with guitar picks. And I was like, that doesn't do it for me.
The guy that I did the skateboard shop with went to that show. If I remember correctly, he went to In Excess and he went to Poison. And I remember he came back and was like excited about the Poison show. And there was a pro skater named John Grigley who had done some artwork for them or something. It was really, I remember there was a brief period of time where we were all like, is Poison cool? I don't know. Is it? And then I think it was a resounding no after a while.
Oh, now they're awesome, though.
I suppose.
Look what the cat dragged in. Yeah.
Weirdly, I felt like, okay, so skaters were really super into the cult and anything that had a cult-like vibe. So I knew dudes that were really into the cult and really into like punk rock. And then they were also really into Gene Love's Jezebel. Because those dudes had like they kind of looked like maybe they were like Ian Astbury or something, but no. So
the Cult.
I
remember I was supposed to go see them with Metallica. And I didn't go to that either. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to that.
That was when Sonic Temple came out.
Maybe.
I think that was.
I don't know.
I could be wrong. I you know what? I say things like this, and then like the last episode with the Van Halen conversation we tried to have, we just screwed everything up. So I could be totally wrong.
But that show, I remember the piano, white grand piano lowering from the ceiling on one of their songs. I'm not a Cinderella fan, but it was just, will forever be in my brain. And it was a spectacle.
You didn't go see White Lion?
No. That was...
Okay, so the theatrics of it appealed to you. The sound
fantastic.
of it you thought was awful.
Well, the music was bad.
Yeah. It's Key Arena. It's hard to see good music at Key Arena.
Yeah, it's like going to a gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not made for music.
You're sitting on the bleachers on the side looking down at it.
It's not made for music.
I recently saw Foreigner, Night Ranger.
No.
And, oh, God.
At the casino?
I want to say Survivor, but I don't know that it was Survivor. No, at Key Arena with a bunch of Michaelanne's coworkers. It was a few years ago now, but
wow, that was something.
And I saw Smashing Pumpkins there. And the actual sound of the show is awful there. Awful. You pay a lot of money to sit far away uncomfortably and see something at a bad angle with horrible sound.
Yeah.
I bet maybe it's good right up front of the stage.
No, it's not good anywhere.
It's not good anywhere.
It's not even good on the stage.
No, let me tell you something. The best show I ever saw was in a garage. The best show I'll ever see was in a garage. So I think it gets worse from there as you get bigger. Okay, so you get from that to you have to move at some point. You have to move to the potato farm, right?
No, so haven't even gotten to high school yet.
Okay.
So then I go to high school, but we moved again to basically the Bellevue-Redmond border.
Okay.
Right along Lake Sammamish. We were renting another house there. My dad had gotten laid off, sold everything, sold the house. We were renting another house.
Okay, but you weren't going to leave. You were still near family here, so you were staying in the Northwest.
Yes, so then I go, and my parents wanted me to go to Bellevue because my brother went there. So I went to Bellevue High School.
Okay.
Knowing no one when I started. None of my friends went there, which was odd.
Okay. They all went different
schools.
Yeah.
So I get there, and it was a little bit of the same thing. They had a smoking section when I started there.
Oh, it was still the time when, even though it wasn't totally legal, there was still a spot where kids would go to smoke.
Yes.
And every once in a while,
outside the door.
On school grounds?
with burn bins to throw your butts in.
Oh, okay. That was
ninth grade.
That was much more advanced than we had. Like, technically, you could go smoke, but every once in a while, a teacher would come out and bust people just so that you wouldn't know if it was going to happen.
I'm pretty sure there are teachers smoking out there, too.
Okay. Yeah, that's a much more, I guess, progressive or regressive, whichever one.
Yeah, but it was that 1 year and then gone.
Right. Some parent caught on. Or...
Well, yeah, it's awful.
So then what? Okay, so once the smoking area was gone, where did kids go smoke?
Oh, across the field.
Across the field.
And we had an open campus. You could walk. You could go anywhere.
Okay.
We were right, it's right downtown Bellevue.
Right.
So you could walk. They'd go over to, what's that store? It was a 7-Eleven, I think. Short little walk.
Stand around out there and smoke.
Yep.
Okay. A lot of good times standing around outside a store smoking.
But this is, quite a bit.
Not very straight edge, I would say.
No. I was no.
To someone, but you were back in the day.
That didn't count.
That didn't count because you didn't know.
I didn't know what I was doing.
All right.
But I loved, we loved the idea of it.
Right.
So that didn't last very long.
Right.
I moved to Washington and got totally screwed up. Met lots of people I shouldn't have.
You met lots of people you shouldn't have, and you got totally screwed up.
Yeah. And
so let me get, what do you mean by that? You started smoking weed?
Yeah. Eating boxes of Dramamine. It gets you messed up. So this were also, the connections were at church.
Your drug connections were at church?
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, wait, hold on. Did you do Robitussin?
I never did that, but okay. I remember all those kids in high school that did from Lake Washington.
Right, and then it got out in the news, and people started getting freaked out. I think they pulled it for a while.
Yeah.
And then you had to maybe get it from behind the counter or get it from a locked...
Yes. Yeah, there was a little bit of everything.
So you were always a church kid. Weed and acid. But those things that you were getting, weed and acid, you were getting them from other kids in the church.
Yeah.
It became your place to get drugs.
Yes. Well, my parents would drop us off, and then we would walk off somewhere else, and then we would do our thing, whether it be, smoking, whatever. And then we would come back to church and get picked up to go home.
You didn't actually go to the church, you didn't go to the sermons?
Well, I did. But we got kicked out many times. I was removed.
And was it more just a way for them to get you out of the house to get time away from you, or?
No. They really thought we were going to church.
Okay.
But really.
And this is you and your friends?
Me and my sister.
You and your sister. But you were meeting up with friends there, and then they would provide the... Do you know where people were getting stuff?
No. Somewhere else.
Some kid...
PK Park.
PK, a notorious park where troubled kids hung out.
Peter Kirk Park.
In Kirkland.
Yes.
Okay. What was this church that you went to?
What was it? The name of it?
Yeah.
Overlake.
Overlake Christian. I think
the one that used to be by Michaelanne's old house. Her parents' house.
There was Overlake Christian, and then it moved...
down into the big, weird valley.
No, I don't know if it's still there.
I don't know. The pastor got involved in some bad stuff.
See, they get all Icarus, right? They fly too close to the sun. Is that Icarus? Yeah, it is. And then they crash down. Yes. And then what are you going to do? But it's amazing to me. I know a lot of people, and I'm assuming quite a few people who will end up being on this podcast have some interaction, has some time spent at that Overlake Christian.
Oh, yeah.
And got themselves into some trouble there.
Yes. Yes, we did.
You being one of them.
Yes.
Okay. So was that your introduction to drugs?
A lot of those people were. Yes.
Okay.
Because I was never really, but I still to this day, I hate drugs. I just don't like them.
Right.
Even though I went through some bad times with them, and I hate them.
Right.
I hated them then.
Okay.
And for some reason, I kept doing them.
But drinking was your thing?
Well, it was a combination of both.
Yeah, they kind of went together.
Yeah.
So you're meeting these people, and some of these people now they're your friends to this day.
Yes.
Okay. So this was where you were starting to really get roots with people.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. And did you stay in that high school all the way through?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You went to Bellevue High all the way through to the end.
Yes.
And you at some point you start playing music there.
I did. I did my first band in high school. We played one show.
Okay.
It was called RMD. That was our initials. And it was this.
What did you guys say that it stood for?
That's what we said it was. It was our name.
Oh, you didn't come up with any other names to go along with it? And
we only played one show in Matt Matsuoka's parents' house.
You did?
Yes, with the big Washington State flag on the back.
Sure.
It was with Warm Fuzzy.
Warm Fuzzy and 1007.
And we used all of Warm Fuzzy's gear because we went to high school together.
Right.
So we knew all of us knew each other.
Okay. So RMD.
And it was terrible. I think we played one song for 15 minutes, and then that was it. I can't even remember what it sounded like, except for the guitar player could just shred.
Oh, you had a good guitar player.
Yeah.
And you were playing bass?
Yes.
And you just
poorly. And then our friend was playing drums.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad. Absolutely terrible. But I remember that show vividly at Matsuoka's parents' house.
Well, you'd have to. It's
behind the church.
Okay. When did you first meet Matt Matsuoka?
At that show.
At the show at his house?
I believe so.
Tell me how it happened. First impressions, what did he act like?
He was a lunatic with a video camera. And there were people like flying. He was all over the place. And I remember that flag and just complete chaos. But I was also in this like, where the hell am I?
He had a Washington State flag that hung on the wall. And then I believe they took it down and laid under it like for the Happiness Breakdown 7-inch, I think, for the cover. I think it's that flag. It's one of these things. I mean, I might have it.
I'm trying to remember who was in the band. Was that
Jeff Ganson?
Yes, I remember Jeff. Oh yeah.
We are looking at the cover of the Happiness Breakdown 7-inch. By the way, available in the Nobody's Knows store.
I own this.
And that's the flag they're hanging out under. I think that they're doing their version of a Who picture.
Yes. Oh yeah, because you've got Knowles. Yeah, that's them.
you've got Drexel, Knowles, Ganson, and Matsuoka here.
Yes,
and this is from that time period, I believe.
Yes, because we had KASB? Is that what it was? The radio station at Bellevue High School.
I don't know.
So that's where I met Sam Jane and all those guys from Link. I mean, they were all worked at the radio station at Bellevue High School.
Well, God, okay, so you're like in 1991 now.
Probably.
Matt in high school, you in high school.
Was Matt in high school at that point? He was probably already done.
You're right.
Because
he was.
I'm not sure how old Matt is, but I think when I met him, he was already
He's
out
my
of
age
school.
or he's a year older than me. So you're right. That makes sense, Matt. I was thinking Matt was...
He was just this guy. This crazy guy.
Crazy dude that was... Oh, hello.
Oh, shit.
Hello, Michaelanne.
Well, okay, long-time listeners of the show will recognize what just happened. We've been avoiding this for a while because we didn't put a sign up on the door, but we've had good communication. Michaelanne has basically opened the door and come in on the recording session now.
Sorry. Do you guys want some lunch?
That's a really good idea. Come in for a minute. Come in. You're here. So we're gonna have to. Okay, pull up a seat here. You're gonna be talking in this microphone with Derek.
I didn't realize it was recording time.
And yep, it's recording time.
So the reason why I think this works is because we're kind of at the time, I think, where you two probably met. You knew Derek long before I ever did.
I don't need to be a part of this interview though, because he can probably say very embarrassing things about me.
Lean in a little bit. so
I've already gone there with myself. It doesn't matter.
If anyone
talk about wearing a bikini yet?
No, stop it.
If anyone doesn't know,
we did not get to that yet.
What we're talking about. I live with Michaelanne. This is her house. She generously allows me to record this podcast here. And every once in a while, we've had her on the show because of these exact same situations. So, except for with the ram, she sat in the whole time. So I can't let this go. You know things about him. You just said, did you get to the part about the bikini yet? He was never going to tell me about a bikini.
I have photos.
Oh, that's even better. Those will not go up on the internet.
It would embarrass far too many people and not just yourself.
Okay, so when did you guys
Never
meet?
happened.
Michaelanne, he talked about getting drugs at church.
Well, how funny that you mentioned that. That is how we met.
What do you know?
Wow.
Yeah, Katie Vantine's older sister and Katie used to go to this church.
Yeah, I was leaving everyone's name
Yeah,
out.
let's not incriminate people. Those are people that went to the
that's how I
church.
know they went to that church.
I did not name one person.
That's how I went, because I didn't go to the church. They went to the church.
Sorry.
And I used to go to the church with them. I'm not incriminating them.
I dropped Peter Kirk. That's all I dropped.
He said, so just so we understand, he talked about bad kids from PK. Essentially, that's kind of what you said, right?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Just so everyone's clear, the people Derek's referring to is Michaelanne and her friends.
Yep.
So, Michaelanne, you were the bad kid from PK.
Yep.
And you didn't last long in the church,
was
right?
not a bad kid from PK. I was a very good kid who just happened to hang out at Peter Kirk Park and sometimes take the bus into Seattle and go to Teen Feed.
Okay, I would say that
I never did that.
I would say that most people. So you probably
Or shows,
you probably
or
went to
whatever.
Teen Feed with Damien because Damien brought up Teen Feed.
I knew Damien already. Yeah.
So we're gonna pause for a second. Most of the kids that hung out at PK weren't probably actually bad kids, but he was
No.
talking about perspective. Now,
Yes, perspective.
he also
absolutely.
talked about Overlake Christian Church.
yes,
which I
was
know you
happening
had.
at the same time as PK.
You had a short little bit of involvement there, which came to an end pretty quickly.
Only a few times did I go to the youth group sessions, which is where I met you and Andrea and all those people, because Katie and her sister were going to those.
Okay.
And so it wasn't really about drugs.
Well, it was for me.
Well, I'm not going to go there. Anyway.
But you had to stop going, right?
I did have to stop going. There was some sort of discussion at some point about Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, something to do with horns and devil tails.
That's every day.
I understand, but I didn't know that this is what church was like because I hadn't been to church ever. And so, at least not like that. And so literally I was sitting in there and totally floored, and I believe I made some sort of question and was drug into some counselor's office, and they were like, who the hell are you and why are you here? And you don't have parents that attend this church and you're never allowed to come back here.
And they took
They took a photo of me, and there was a photo of me so that they would know that if I ever came back to youth group, I was not allowed to be there.
This
loving church.
This girl is not allowed to be saved.
No.
Here's one that needs our help. Here's a picture. Don't let her through the door.
That happened to me at Target.
Not a bad comparison.
But Derek, at Target, you can get useful things.
Oh, I got tons of useful things.
Yeah, so that was the first time that I met Derek, and I believe you said probably 3 words to me, and that
If
was
that.
it. If even that. Maybe there was a head shake of hello. Yeah.
And I have to say, I just feel that it's probably good. It's probably good for a church's motto to be, this one would be hard. Let's not try.
Yeah, I think I questioned something about the bad stuff they were saying about other religions. And
Sure.
So, yeah, because I just didn't understand, if you're a God-loving person, why you would have any problem with anyone else who was, looking for their God.
But they did some really fantastic things where they would have
It's about market
people
share.
bring in like metal, like Slayer albums and stuff.
Yeah?
And then just talk how bad it was, and I would just take it.
Wait, you would steal the example music?
What would parents bring in their kids' records or something?
No, kids.
Why would you bring in a
I have
Slayer
no
record
idea.
to church?
Because it's funny.
For attention.
Rain in Blood.
I was going to say Rain in Blood, really seriously?
They didn't have to go any further than the cover, right?
Exactly. Which I believe I drew that face in high school all the time. And I had the nickname Satan for a while in high school. I would just do that just to...
Justly deserved.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I met you.
Yeah.
But I knew your sister before I ever knew you from hanging out at the McIsaac house. There's all these weird ties that lean us all into knowing each other.
McIsaac house.
Yeah, come on, Jeff and Jamie McIsaac. Reason for Hate, all those kids, old school kids. Yeah, 2 Minutes Hate. Yep, all that stuff.
Now-
Weren't you in that band?
For 2 minutes.
You were
Never played a show. Just
you were the
practiced.
2 minutes.
Yes. And I hated it.
Why'd you hate it?
Because it's 2 minutes 8.
Boom. Yeah, see, that was I tried to do the thing here, but it didn't come through.
I was trying to, get
It was
that.
absolutely insane to be playing that music for me, though. It was so fast.
Yeah, but it's not like out of your purview or anything.
No, but I felt like a horrible musician at the time. It was like, oh, geez, I can't keep up with this. Do I really want to be here? This is weird.
Okay. So was that your second band?
Trying to think. How old was that? How old was I then?
I was like 16, 17, so you're, what, a year or two older?
Well, I'm trying to think.
I
So
was
I
15.
did.
I don't know. I don't think I could drive. I know I couldn't. Dave Crone had short hair in there, so that, like, when did he cut his hair? I can't remember.
So I don't meet you for another 2 or 3 years, and I don't meet you for another 1 or 2 years after what we're talking about right now.
Oh, yeah.
At least.
This super predates all the, well, it's when the Firehouse and stuff is starting to come about, but before it's the Firehouse, before it's any of that stuff.
So there was Orchard Manor where we did one, but that was when Narcosis, was it Narcosis or Ricky Tiki Tavi at that point? Jeff Mays.
Okay.
And Jay Ford from Point of Interest.
Yeah.
Point of Interest.
Yeah.
So this is Orchard Manor?
Yeah. So
Tell me who's in Orchard Manor.
It was Jay Ford.
Okay.
Jeff Mays.
Okay.
Jeremy Green.
Jeremy Green.
And myself.
Right. And you guys are...
We practiced in my parents' garage.
Now, Jeremy Green is... aren't we supposed to... We're supposed to say Jeremiah.
Sorry, Jeremiah.
who ended up in Modest Mouse.
Yes. Yes, I used to have to pick him up because he couldn't drive.
Right.
That's right, because he was younger than I was. He was like
I was
13
I was in
time.
another band with Doug Lynch.
But wait, he was in...
Before
BFE?
that?
Were you in BFE with Doug
What's
and
that?
Adam?
Doug was playing drums.
Yeah, and Adam Green, Jeremiah's brother, was playing whatever bass. What did he
I
play,
can't
bass,
remember. It was like
guitar?
Stalefish or something weird.
That sounds right. Stalefish sounds right. And then there was...
We never played a show.
But then there was Peeved.
I was not in Peeved. I was not in Peeved.
Okay. But you're in Orchard Manor.
Yeah.
And you
for
played a
one
show. You played one show
At the party hall. And
with Undertow.
getting out of the car, Jeff slammed my hand in the door.
Nice.
And so it was awful. I couldn't even move my fingers to play bass. We played maybe 3 songs.
Orchard Manor.
Yes.
At that time, I'm feeling like you guys had to have a lookout with a bit of a DC vibe.
Complete DC.
Yeah.
Complete DC.
Yes.
Okay.
When I met Derek, that's all that you
but
were
when
really
I say lookout,
into.
I'm feeling like Monsula. Because Monsula has that kind of thing. But okay, so it's a real DC
But
thing.
a lot of like Jay Ford was he was like Mr. DC.
Yeah.
Mr. Punk Rock.
So that should have been, you guys should have stayed together and been one of the big bands in the area.
No, I think we were terrible.
To start.
We had a bad start, and then it just kind of stopped.
Right. Now, were you at that show? Because I know, Michaelanne, you would come across to the party hall sometime.
I have no idea because that was my life. My life was literally going to shows. That's all we did. A house show, a show in Seattle, a show somewhere, Big John's. Well, that was before Big John's. But, my first house show was a Poison Idea show. That was my first show ever was a Poison Idea show.
That's phenomenal.
Like 13. I don't know how old I was.
Oh, so the party hall, we bring it up, but this could be the first podcast anyone listens to. It was this old rental hall in what was at the time a pretty rough spot of Seattle at a time when we still had, if you're on the East Coast, forget what I'm saying. It's not a rough spot, but for everybody else, like this was actually a rough, this was the Central District. People get mugged, people get jumped.
For Seattle, it was rough.
It was
for
a
what
rough
we
spot,
had.
For East Side kids, it was rough.
It's completely built up in condos, and it's
doesn't
nothing
exist
like
now.
that anymore. None of these spots exist anymore.
Now you got to stay away from Bellevue.
Now you got to stay away from Bellevue.
Okay, great.
Why? Because the rich people's security will take you out.
Yes.
Yeah, but the party hall, I remember being so sketched out driving across that bridge and coming over. I had no idea where I was. And everyone just said, whatever you do not walk to the store by yourself.
Don't walk to
go
the
anywhere.
store. Don't be outside. It's dangerous outside. By the way, when you're inside, don't touch anything.
Yeah, you might get scabies.
Yeah.
You will get scabies.
Disgusting.
That rolled up carpet back there, don't touch
There's
it.
carpet and mattresses, and it's all along the back, and if you lean on it like it seems like you could do, you're going
God,
home.
it gives me the willies right now.
You're going home with bugs. And we would cram into that space and watch amazing bands. Jawbreaker, Jawbox, the Undertow, the stuff you're talking about. Like Born Against.
Born Against, yeah.
Were you at the Born Against show? Okay.
I wish I was, but then I'm glad I wasn't afterwards.
Right, because there was a gunfire outside and someone
Yep.
threw a brick and hit someone in the head at
Stole
that
the cash
show.
box.
Yep.
And so, yes, this was all the place we're talking right now. So this is Orchard Manor, Peter's out.
Yeah, for some reason. Not sure.
And was it right after that you started the Green?
No. I might have been. I was always the replacement, the fill-in bass player. So Because I did that with Ricky Tikki Tavi.
Oh, okay. Was Lex sang for?
So yeah, I played at Newport High School's, like, what do they call those shows? Like the variety show?
Yeah.
Where there's like smoke machines and like ice and you'd like just run out on the stage. I think it was Ricky Tikki Tavi.
Okay.
And I filled in with them on bass all the time. Every big show Chris Kolb missed, I filled in, and he hated me for a long time.
So you were just waiting and you to be called up.
I just got called up because I had a bass.
You were never in 1007?
No.
Okay,
I was not.
That's surprising.
I know.
Did you never played even one show?
In 1007?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Dave did. Dave
Oh,
Ford.
maybe that's
Dave Ford, who plays music with you now.
Yes.
Okay. So we're gonna get into the green. We're gonna do that stuff. Do you want to stay in here for a little while? Will you have some stuff?
Will
that
I
you
have
can throw
anything
in?
to add? Well, I'm sure I would, but I don't know if it would be anything interesting.
So far, you've added great stuff.
Well, it
like
would be
bikinis.
It would be.
Yeah, but that's a later conversation.
It might
That
be.
is not the story
It
right
might be
now.
embarrassing, but at some point, you did say you were going to make us lunch.
Thanks.
No, I think when you came in, I just want to remember. Did I?
Yes, I did say that.
Okay, so when we're done with this, we get to eat lunch.
Yeah, you do.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it won't be the first or last time I fed either one of you.
No, but this is. I feel very rich right now. This is.
Yes.
Okay, well, hang out with us for a little bit more.
Okay, fine.
We were talking about Cousin It.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Do you remember that show at Bellevue?
Yeah.
Bellevue
yeah.
YMCA?
Yes, the Bellevue
I saw
YMCA.
them. I think I might have played with Ricky Tikki Tavi there.
Oh, maybe.
I can't remember. But anyway, their bass player, Miles, then quit the band.
A
And
name I haven't thought of forever.
Miles Montgomery?
Yes, whatever
So,
happened to him?
he went on to some like Terra or something.
Oh.
I don't know, some other band. He quit. And then they asked me if I would come practice with them.
Cousin It.
Yes.
Okay.
And then that was the beginning of that band with me in it.
But you had to change the name because when a member leaves, the name has to change.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, and that was a bad name.
Yeah, terrible, terrible name.
It was a bad name unless your goal at the time was to get on shows with sweaty nipples.
Yes.
Sweaty
They were
nipples.
actually really entertaining
They
to watch.
really were.
Right, but
They
that's
were
the point, though.
awesome.
Like, if you go to a sweaty nipple show, of course, Cousin It's the opening band. That makes sense. It may not make sense with what you guys were trying to play, but
Yeah.
Oh, God.
But that was a big shock coming into a band playing music like that. They were very sub pop
Cousin It were.
influenced.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is not where you'd come from.
No, not at all.
No.
Okay.
Which is a lot of it is where the music went like a left turn.
Because when I first met you, it was
So
all
you just,
Husker
by the
Du
way,
and-
you just thumbed to the right and said left
Oh,
turn.
well, that's right.
And no one
then
can
I did it. Then I did it this way. I'm like, wait.
because you were a Smack Michaelanne.
right in the boob.
Yes. Par for the course.
True.
Yeah, so we did play some of the same songs.
As Cousin It.
Yes, some
And
of
then-
the same songs they did. And then we just started writing new ones. And eventually,
Now, who were these guys
the guys,
in the band?
there was Eric Friedenberg.
Which is really the reason why you and I became friends at
Yes.
the end.
Eric
Yes.
Friedenberg, who later played drums for Red Rocket, like
Yes.
we talked about.
Yes. And there was Ben Davis, who went on with Dempsey,
He played
1007.
in Dempsey, and he was in 1007. Yep.
Anything?
Oh, I'm sure
Someone
other.
else, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I'm sure there was other.
Danny
stuff.
Adamson,
And Danny Adamson,
who played in a lot of bands.
and he plays in a band now.
Yes.
What? It's a
The Not It?
The Not It's.
the Not It's. Okay.
And I was there.
and you.
Yes.
But these are all people. These people. I don't know where Ben is right now.
But this is also a key time.
these are
this
people
is
that
when
stayed.
I met Dan Gallucci.
Okay, and you met
Another reason why we became friends because
good
I was
friend,
friends
Dan
with
Gallucci.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's one of those glue type people.
Yes.
Which is very cool. It connects a lot of different people together.
Mm-hmm.
But up to this point, you've kind of been talking about people that weren't part of the story, that weren't part of the scene the way
Yes.
we were part of it. But this band is full of people who were continuously involved, and all of these people connected to other people that we were all friends with, and it became part of, like, I feel like it's part of the storyline up till now, even if we haven't
Yes.
heard from Ben for a long time. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
like we you know, we're still running into these people, you know, so
Yes.
it makes sense now. So you're now into the storyline.
This is
Yes.
where the group of friends becomes solidified, is with this time period of the green and all that kind of stuff.
and the firehouse is starting to happen.
Yeah.
Yes.
The east side is happening. you guys haven't there hasn't been a lot of crossover into the Seattle hardcore. There's probably still some rivalries and some weird.
Because of Undertow, but that's
yeah. I mean, we played with Undertow all the time.
That's how I know John and all those guys.
Yeah, we're all friends.
Yeah.
Friendly, but remember there was kind of a weird thing for a while.
Well, for me, if I could walk up to them and say, "Hi, how's it going?" and we talked to each other, that was a friend at that point, because I was like, ugh.
Right.
Yeah, Derek didn't talk to anybody.
No, I remember. We've been through how we ended up dealing with each other.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, but I mean, like...
He just went, he just went like this. I walked over to say something to him at the firehouse about the band that was playing, and he just went...
Kind of got a scared look on his face.
But it was a little bit like more judging.
Yeah, I've seen that look.
I don't judge.
That's great radio right there.
It actually is amazing to know how shy you actually
I still
are.
am. Yeah, I'm incredibly shy.
Because to me, you're not. I mean, you're not that.
Oh, yeah,
been you forever.
And then you know me and the switch turns and watch
and then
out.
You stop talking. Don't ever stop talking.
Well,
I remember it was hard to become.
We talked about when he was drinking a lot, and I referred to him as Dancing Hulk Derek.
Yeah. No, but it is that time period. That's when everything solidified and everyone becomes super good friends. And we're all mobile. We all can go out and do whatever it is that 16 and 17-year-old kids go out and do.
Go to Denny's.
Go to Denny's. Go to Sherry's in the middle of the night.
You guys spend a lot of time
smoking cigarette after cigarette after cigarette after cigarette.
I have to say, I mourn the loss of that experience for kids.
Well, that is exactly where the two of you actually got introduced once you, Dave, and I met. Do you remember that? At the Sherry's in Redmond?
But we already knew each other.
Who
You knew each other, but like you say, we weren't friends. Like, all of us in the scene was way too small. Everybody knew who everybody was.
But what we figured
you
out...
and I hadn't actually ever really been introduced together.
Right.
And, like, that's why you and Derek weren't great friends, because it was all periphery. Like,
no, we weren't great friends, and there was always that thing hanging over our heads of the whole, supposedly I dissed the Green by saying they sounded like QUARTERBASH. We went over this earlier.
Oh, you already went over this?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We went over the meeting
Yeah.
before we went back. But then the thing we determined that was once Red Rocket happened and their drummer was playing with
When
Matt,
Eric was playing with
that
Matt,
was
yeah.
we were in the same place enough times that it was just like whatever. Like,
that's true, because Matt really is the link for all of us. Without Matt around, we wouldn't have met a ton of people, actually.
But with a lot of those people, once you and I connect, Michaelanne, then all these other people were like, all right, he's going to be around, whatever, we'll have to put up with him. So that's where we kind of become friends.
And it is amazing that the two of you actually started hanging out after that, because the first thing he says to me is, he looks over at me and he goes, seriously, we've been in this restaurant 5 minutes and the guy's already asleep sitting up in the booth? Because that's what happened. He fell asleep in the booth because it's like 3 a.m. or whatever.
Okay, this is pretty good. I do remember this, and this was one of the first times you and I hung out as friends. It's not you. Okay, so I worked graveyard.
And this was you living in the apartment in the U District, correct?
Yes, I was in the U District already.
Oh, I wasn't working graveyard at this point, but basically I would burn the candle both ends. I'd have a record project coming out with Excursion or something, and sometimes I would be like working crazy on stuff. And so at some point we end up at
There's a show, I'm sure.
Sherry's in Redmond.
Probably after a live show.
After a show, and I'm just completely beat. And we're sitting there, and we're doing the thing. We're hanging out, drink coffee, whatever, and I, as I'm like to do, just fall asleep sitting in the booth.
Some things never change.
Yeah, I am comfortable. Okay. There's a Jimmy Eat World song. I fall asleep with my friends around me.
It's
the only
true.
place I know I feel safe. Okay, that's me. Like, if I can fall asleep sitting with you guys are having a great conversation or whatever.
Yeah.
So apparently I was asleep for a little while, and then I woke up and everything was fine.
Yeah.
But I've been hearing about this ever since it happened.
It was like literally we were there for 5 minutes. And you were already asleep. Like, this is my best friend I'm about to introduce you to.
Oh, cool. You brought the guy that sleeps.
Who I already know.
But not really know. That's the thing. It's so weird that scene back then was such a small scene. Like, we're all hanging out with everyone from the Plan and State Route. Like, that's our crew, right? And then all of a sudden there's you and these hardcore kids around more and more and more. Not just Undertow, but more and more hardcore kids start coming around to the east side. We're going to shows at Big John's house. There's this weird meshing and melding of two scenes.
Which didn't always go smooth.
No, it didn't.
Especially with the hard dancing.
Yeah.
That was when there started to be, because the east side, I would say, was more pop and more like emo-y kind of like,
well, we had more connections to that kind of stuff for sure.
Right. And I think that when bands like Undertow and the hardcore bands that were getting into like Earth Crisis and everyone was into the kickboxing thing, when you'd have that show with the mixed bills where it was like a Poppy band or 10 to 7 and
There were
Undertow,
a couple of fights.
then there'd be
and I did that on tour.
windmills and kicking and all this stuff. And
you get to the East Coast and these kids are still kickboxing. Like, what the hell is wrong with you guys? Stop it.
wait, what is it?
I can't remember what the bands were, but I mean, it was touring with, I think at that point it was Waffle Stompers.
Yes, it probably was.
Being on the East Coast, up in like...
You're saying, why are you still doing this? Stop it. And there's still
while we are
decade
playing,
or more of serious.
while we are playing.
Yeah.
Oh, because people hadn't figured out that it didn't really work during...
And then we played with hardcore bands. It was like, this is...
Right.
Well,
It's kind of like a variety show.
After a while, like early mid-90s, like 93, 94, 95, I mean, that's all there is like, there's no, like, breakup of the scene. It's hardcore and pop. It's all the same.
Right.
I mean, you were playing shows with face-to-face.
Yeah.
I mean,
But that was at least
awesome.
closer.
Yeah, that was at least closer. But still, that's still verging into the hardcore scene. And all the hardcore kids would come to any show that there was to go to because there weren't shows like there are now.
Right. It took a few years
week.
before the scene stratified, or I don't know if that's the right
it's
word.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good.
Yeah. No, it's totally
We're going to
true.
just say that's what it is.
But yeah, the Seattle
Stratified.
scene back then was way smaller. I mean, we had to go it wasn't like we just went to Bellevue to Ground Zero and to the Redmond Y. We were going to
Or
shows.
Zones.
It was zones.
Zones.
Or at high school.
At arcade.
Or at random
Bless
parks.
Kate Becker for doing that.
Wait, so Kate Becker was Zones?
I think she did Zones as well.
Yeah, Kate Becker's responsible for many, many things in all of our lives.
It's true. I don't think any of this happens without Kate Becker.
No, because we're not the little kids. I mean, we're the kids making the music, making the scene for them, not me, because I'm just hanging
like
around.
the East Side connection doesn't really happen as much without Kate Becker.
No, well, but it was there before her, and then she built it into something because we were doing shows before she was ever there. Yeah.
Just not as good.
No, just
Oh,
not as
right,
good.
right. You needed someone to come in and say, "Hey, here's how we do things."
I mean, and shows were house shows. I mean, we were going to that was my first show ever was a house show. So
do you remember what house?
No, I couldn't even tell you where it was. I was probably 13 years old. All I know is I got in a car and it felt like I was driving out to the boondocks. I'm sure it was somewhere right in the city, but it just felt like that. But God, going to Beth's at that age was like going to, the middle of nowhere. Where are
Beth's
we?
Cafe, and they probably allowed smoking then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Beth's Cafe is still
I think
there.
you had to smoke.
It's on
I
Aurora.
think, yeah, it was by law. You had to if you went in the door.
I was in Beth's a little over a week ago, and I can report for the first time that they're actually attempting to make their food better.
Oh, well, why would they do that?
Right. What I've been telling people for a long time is that there's literally nothing that tastes good on the menu at Beth's, not even the coffee, and I love it.
What is
and
it,
I
like
love
a
to go there.
42 egg omelet or something?
There's some big
No,
stuff.
but I think it tastes good if you're high.
Well,
I don't
there's
remember,
a lot
but I
of
think
people
it
that are
does.
high there, but I went in and ordered a grilled cheese, which I will often do because at least it's something to eat while you're there. And it's on better bread now, and they told me they were actually improving the menu.
Wow.
Are they losing business?
I don't know. It was the best.
So it's not about the acid trip ambiance anymore?
No, I think without that they don't have Beth's Cafe anymore. Because
if there's no pictures on the wall, come on.
So if you haven't ever been to Beth's Cafe, if you're from listening somewhere else, or if you're here and you haven't been there, you really ought to go. The walls of the entire inside of the place are just covered with paper, white like printer paper that people have drawn with pens and pencils and crayons. Whatever tripping thing they were tripping out on.
It's literally everybody who was on acid in there.
And then they
or
put up, and it's
mushrooms or
constantly
whatever.
changing and evolving and putting them up on the walls, and it's a lot of fun. And that's the feeling
disgusting
of the place. Well, disgusting, whatever.
Yeah.
But in the mid-90s, when you were young, it was so awesome.
Listen, we don't say, "Hey, let's go have a nice meal together." I know, let's go to Beth's. You go to Beth's because you're trying to go to
Because it's 3 in the
Beth's.
morning, and you're like, where can we go? It's 3 in the morning.
For me, I go there. I go there because I find it easy to be creative there.
Yeah. Yeah.
How could it not be with all that artwork?
Yeah, and people talking crazy all around me, and there's weird. I don't know. It's like you're sitting, like you're right in the little eye of the storm. If I'm in there alone, if I'm writing or something, it's just the best swirls around me, and that is great. So, okay, so let's move into you're in the green.
Yep.
Have you put out a record yet? Like what are you? When do you guys record?
Maybe let's see. The first thing I think it was a cassette. We might have done it at Electric Eel.
Okay, that
because
sounds right.
it was super cheap, and that's all you could really afford.
Electric Eel. You scraped your money together.
Yep. And I don't even have a copy of that cassette.
Oh, I'm sure I do.
Maybe. I can't even remember what was on it. Don't tell me.
I'm going to go look for it when I leave.
Yeah, we would made those cassettes, and we would go down to the Kirkland waterfront, really anywhere, and just try to sell these tapes to people coming out of these bars that did not want us to.
Wait, you actually tried to sell the tapes just to random people on the street?
That's what we did. It's like, hey, let's go down to the waterfront. No, down like Kirkland waterfront. It was like,
nice.
let's go sell. And every once in a while, we sold some.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like at the park to just randoms?
Like full on, like down by where all the bars were.
Yeah. Okay.
So you always take advantage of someone who's been drinking.
Wait. Derek, life lesson number 1. Always take advantage of someone who's been drinking.
If you want to sell them music.
Right.
But that's it.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yes, we have to stay that you're right. It's just musically.
I did not say that. You did.
Okay, so this was not the tape that Matsuoka played for me?
Ooh.
Were there 2 recordings?
That was probably the 7-inch that we did. We recorded that somewhere in Bremerton or something in a freezing cold garage about this size. Like you see your breath on like a 1/2-inch tape.
Okay.
But I think that's the 7-inch.
Right. So
that was afterwards. That was
there's
after
initial
the cassette.
recording, and then there's a 7-inch.
There's 2 cassettes.
And you guys did a lot. You played a lot of shows, and you toured around.
We did.
You actually left the Seattle area. How many times?
We did one full U.S. tour.
You did a full U.S. tour as the Green.
I believe it was Waffle Stomper then.
Yeah, it was Waffle
Oh,
Stomper.
okay. So Waffles. So what happened was
we did the West Coast and down into like Utah.
Oh, that was so much fun. Because I actually went with you.
Was that the Green then?
No, because it was only
I'm
the
trying to remember
because
when Ben left, we changed the name.
It was the 3 of you. It was just you, Danny, and Eric, and me and Michelle.
Yeah.
Driving around.
Yeah.
Random.
Fun times.
Oh my God, that was amazing. That's where we met Jason Farrell, though.
Yes.
Amazing.
Okay, so
stories there.
The mention of Jason Farrell, it is important since there are 2 significant Jason Farrells in our world.
That's true.
This is Salt Lake City music promoter Jason Farrell.
And it was the summer of 1994. I know that for sure.
I thank you.
Mm-hmm. I
don't
graduated
remember
high school
anything.
that year.
You guys went and got in some kind of trouble at the temple.
Oh,
no.
Yes. Well, we didn't get in trouble, but Derek caused a little scene at the Mormon temple.
They have microphones.
Okay, see, you just said no, and then Michaelanne, and then now there's something. So that's what you're here for, Michaelanne.
There's
Thank you.
this giant room with the Jesus with his arms out.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Was
stars?
there art? There's art
stars,
like leading on the way or something.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
don't know.
weird paintings around this dome building.
Yeah.
And there's microphones.
And we'll hold off. The start off though, we walk onto the grounds, right? And it's us. We're dirty. I mean, Derek stinks.
Oh yeah, I was
Derek
like
smells
crusty.
So
I was so crusty.
gross. Derek and Eric, Adam and Danny and those guys, and Pete was with us, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I think he was. And Peter Goldstein was with us too. And so immediately we are being followed around by
we have a tail.
Yeah, we have a tail by some Secret Service Mormon person or
Right.
whatever.
Okay. So
Yes. like seriously,
they're gonna cause
tailed.
trouble.
They're gonna cause trouble. So yeah. Then you
just
go
follow
ahead.
the stink trail.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So
follow your nose.
We're up in this place, and for some reason, I don't know why, I see a microphone. Huh, why would that thing be on? Let's just pick it up. Hello, this is God. And that was the end. We were escorted out.
We were escorted out.
You said, hello, this is God, and it amplifies through
yeah.
the Mormon temple.
The whole Mormon temple.
By the way, this is Salt Lake City, so this is
The
Mormon
Mormon
temple.
It was not the
no,
temple.
We're not
Oh.
in the temple because we're not allowed in the temple. We're not.
No
there.
one, you can't go in the temple. It's
Okay.
the surrounding buildings
Yes.
you can go in.
So we're in like the public, like where you
Okay.
can
And
visit.
I believe we went from there to the Tabernacle Choir,
I'm pretty sure. Yes.
where we had a full security detail around us.
Yes.
And we have pictures somewhere with them.
I do.
Because
I have it.
We made them take pictures with
If we
us.
can find it, I know I have them.
Okay,
But
so
it was not a very proud moment. Then I believe I was jumping up and down, running.
because you didn't know it was going to be amplified.
you got a little nervous at that
Hey,
point.
why didn't you go check? Isn't that what people do?
Someone would do that.
But you, seeing a microphone in a church, would just grab it and say, hello, this is God.
And I'm pretty sure I was the one egging it on. I'm pretty sure I'm like, do it. Come on, do it.
It was funny.
It was.
Okay,
I won't ever do that again.
So by the way, Michaelanne gets people kicked out of churches. Let's just say
Oh,
that.
damn, I didn't know I had a theme going. I am proud of that, though, if that's what I
You
get
should
tagged
go.
with.
You should go to hang out with Scientologists now and save them from that bullshit.
On the same thing as the church, I know I was removed from church once for wearing a Martha Splatterhead accused shirt.
Oh.
They did not like that.
The artwork, or did it say anything on it?
Oh, it was the artwork.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's Martha Splatterhead.
Yeah. Cutting somebody's head off, or
Right.
yeah, they tried to make me change. I wouldn't, so I went back. It was actually at camp. So I went back to my suitcase, got some wine coolers, went out in the canoe.
Wine coolers.
That's all I could get my hands on.
Bartles and James, or
I don't. Probably it was disgusting.
I drank a lot of wine coolers in high school.
But I just remember
high school.
I did well. I mean, I had like a 50-pound suitcase because it was 12 or so wine coolers in it, and 3 packs of Big Red gum to cover it up. That did not work.
You were going to church camp.
Yep.
So you thought, I need some booze.
Yep. Booze and cigarettes.
Oh, and cigarettes.
Yep.
Hey, how did you get the coolers? Who bought them for you?
A person. My manager at the time when I was working at Burger King. Yeah. My first actual job ever was Burger King.
And your manager would buy you alcohol.
Yep. Miley.
What was the frozen
By the way,
yogurt place you worked at?
I worked at a Kentucky Fried Chicken when I was 18, and yes, there was an older person that worked there that would buy alcohol for the younger people. I think this is actually part of that minimum wage job thing that people do, is that whoever that loser older person is that works there, they're definitely going to contribute to the delinquency of the younger people that they work with, their younger coworkers.
Oh, I think it's mandatory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we all became those older people at some point in our lives.
No. I'm going to say no. I
Okay,
didn't
you did not.
contribute to the I did contribute to the delinquency in high school with my friends when I was already straight edge, and I would drive them around and help them go on the beer run, and I just made sure they got where they needed to go.
Well, you were the safe person.
Well,
You
we
were
had
the-
our Matsuoka.
Yes.
Oh, Matsuoka could
Yeah,
always
we had Matsuoka.
Yeah,
absolutely.
he was the gallon of Old Crow and a measuring cup.
Yep. Oh boy.
Wait, explain that. Explain Matsuoka with a gallon of Old Crow and a measuring cup.
Well, he would show up, you would lay on the ground, he would fill up the measuring cup and then dump it in your mouth.
Uh-huh.
This was a
We
thing?
did this often.
Yes.
I'd wake up in a closet with my feet up in the air, and
normally we'd have done something just stupid the night before.
Now, hold on. Did he put you in the closet?
I don't know.
You don't know how you got in the closet?
We don't know how we'd end up places half the time.
Matsuoka said, "We're going to drink tonight. Lay down."
And then we would all sign the bottle.
Uh-huh.
Was there a name for this game?
Matsuoka.
Yeah, but this was
happened
part of
often.
the course. The first time I ever really met and hung out with Matt, I had to drink him under the table. That was the rule of the.
But that's why Matt. That's why Matt likes you so much to this
Because I
day.
drank him
is
under the
because you
table.
actually outdrank Matt.
I did.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I do know that story. In fact, we recorded a podcast where that story was told, and it was unusable.
Oh.
So the podcast that went up with Matsuoka is just me and Matt.
Oh yeah.
You
that's
actually
right.
came in on the first attempt.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So no one heard that story I told just now, but yeah. And so Matt was our over 21. We were like
he would-
17 or whatever, 16, 17, 18, who knows. Yeah. So he was our supplier of the Old Crow because he only bought what he wanted. He almost never got us what we wanted.
Oh, no. It was just cheap crap.
Yeah, awful. Terrible. It was fun.
It did the job.
All right.
And so that's how I believe bikinis became a part of the conversation.
What was it with
That
you guys
was
on the
Old
east
Crow.
side taking all your clothes off all the time?
Oh, and we would play, what did we play in our underwear? What was the game? Hide and seek? Was that
Well,
it?
hide and
we
seek,
did play
yeah,
hide
I
and seek in our underwear.
They would find people on the roof. naked.
No, it's something like anchovies or
No. I don't know.
Oh, wait, there is something. What the
Yeah, I don't know what
hell is
it's
that?
called.
it's you
But
cut.
that was
Sardines.
Sardines.
Oh, God.
Yep, that
That's
was
right.
it.
Yes.
So, why we would do this naked or in our underwear, I don't know, but we totally would.
No one was ever fully naked.
Oh yes, they were. Not you, perhaps, but yes, there were people fully naked.
Oh.
Yes, there were.
When you think about
when you think about the group, you can
when
figure
you
out
go
who it was.
through that group of people in your mind, you can just check off boxer shorts, naked.
Yeah.
And you probably that's
Brian Renfro,
Bikini?
boxer shorts.
Mickey's wide mouth. Yeah.
All right. So,
Ping pong balls.
was it okay? So was it while Waffle Stomper was away that Matt actually ventured out in his first filmmaking career
Yes.
Was
and
that
made?
not on that tour?
That was when we went to the face-to-face show in Salt Lake.
Oh, the famous face-to-face show in Salt Lake.
So you guys are away. Oh, you guys played the face-to-face show where someone got stabbed or got the X
the X.
carved in
Yeah,
their,
something like that.
Yeah.
carved in their back. Or
It was
something.
at the fairground. It was so huge.
And that was when we were playing that weird circle game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna look at you.
Come on.
For those who can't see what's happening, Michaelanne just tried to get Derek with the classic, hey, look at this, and then you make the little circle okay sign and the person looks at it. Michaelanne,
He didn't fall
and the
for
best
it.
part is, this many years later, she completely failed because he knew exactly what she was doing.
That was a huge thing that entire day.
Oh my God,
What do you
it's
Charlie horse the
huge.
person if you
yeah,
hit him?
just hit him.
Yeah.
You just hit him if they, okay.
Yeah. And I would try to flip
Unless,
between
like,
the
I
eyes.
can't remember his name, the bass player,
Yeah.
face to face.
God, real nice
He was
guy.
really good at
Yeah.
stabbing the circle.
Yes.
It's like,
'Cause if you stab the circle, then it does. Then
then he gets to hit you anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys were playing with those dudes.
Yes, we were.
Look, Face to Face at the time was
They
an
were awesome.
amazing band.
Yeah, they were really good.
We're talking about Don't Turn Away era.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course.
So anyway,
Yeah.
the people that were left behind ended up making a horror film, which I've been trying.
Don't go into the kitchen.
Called Don't Go Into the Kitchen, which I've been
right.
trying to get my hands on, and I think it might be in Matt's tapes.
I think Dave Ford might have it as well.
Dave Ford is involved. No, was it Matt's movie or was it Dave Ford's movie?
It was Matt's, I believe.
Okay. And this was hey, we got really, really high. We're going to make a horror film.
We didn't do drugs.
No. You guys were gone.
That's true.
It was the people that were left behind. Probably drinking. But it was Matt then actually went on to make a couple of movies and inspired me to make my movie. So he definitely, this was a good,
Those were fun.
This was a good part of our history.
God, back at the dirt farm, that movie was made.
The dirt farm.
Isn't that what we were called, or was yours just the farm?
That was a potato farm.
Oh,
when we
yeah,
found the
potato
rotten
farm.
potatoes.
Never mind, the dirt farm's a different house.
But wait, no, hold. This wasn't
did not-
happening at your parents' house while you guys
No,
were on
no,
tour.
no,
No, this
That's
was
a
at-
potato farm, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
potato farm is your parents' house, Derek.
No.
No, it's down the street from my parents' house, about 3 blocks.
Okay.
But the house was identical.
Yeah, it was
It was
weird.
weird.
Yeah.
So then, when does Waffle Stomper end? Because the green ends when Ben Davis leaves.
Yes.
And Dempsey, Mark moves away, Dempsey breaks up, and Ben moves.
So
So that would have been 93, probably.
No, it's later than that.
No.
when Waffle Stomper ended,
No. When the green becomes
Oh.
Waffle Stomper. It's like
Well, then it's
93,
not because
94.
Ben Davis left. He left the band, perhaps, but he was in 1007.
Yes.
right?
Yeah, he
That's
just left
when
the
we just
band.
changed our name.
Okay, so then you guys become Waffle Stomper.
Yes, and then we did the one U.S. tour, some other weird West Coast stuff, and
What's the furthest place away that you guys played in Waffle Stomper?
By the smell of his clothes when he came back, I would say Florida.
what's under Maine? Somewhere.
That area, huh?
Yeah.
New England.
Yes,
Okay.
Florida, Louisiana, whatever.
That's not the same. That's the same coast.
Well, I'm thinking like as far as furthest away.
Okay, so you went all the way down there. How were the shows?
Interesting. Some of them were actually really fun. A lot of them were very poorly attended.
Right.
Some of them were, I don't remember.
Well, you guys were able to continue going. You were making
yeah.
enough money to
Oh, yeah.
buy gas and
Yes, but not really eat.
right.
Taco Bell, that
Taco
kind
Bell
of
on
stuff.
tour.
Yep.
Sure.
But yeah, we'd get free beer from some people. Eric and I would consume.
And you're driving around in the gi, aren't you?
Yes,
Oh,
that
we're
big.
best.
Yeah, we had the gi. We
Which is
called it the gi. It's big black van.
Big black van. You called it the Gi.
Yeah, it was totally gutted. No,
Was it?
no headliner, nothing.
Why was it called the Gi?
Because of it looked like the A-Team van, and it had
Yeah.
the big brow. So like gi from Fugazi. It was
Oh,
gi.
okay. We were just gonna let that sit there and let people figure it out. It was the big brow. You named your van out of his eyebrows.
Yes.
Yes, they
Well,
did.
That's my opinion.
God,
okay.
and there was a loft in there.
Yeah, we built a loft. We did some tours earlier in like a van and a truck. That was
Yeah.
horrendous. So then Danny bought this van, and it had the
Fond
constant
memories.
heater on,
Uh-huh.
or it would overheat. So we're driving through the middle of like Yuma Desert, heat on, melting your shoe. Your shoe's wrapped in a shirt. All the windows are open. Oh, it's like 180 degrees inside.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the stuff that builds character.
Absolutely. You survived that.
Yeah, you're almost all totally naked and sweating.
And there's always
Well,
more
like,
people than there are in the band. in
I would
the
have
damn
like
thing.
these weird hairs, and Adam would be picking weird hairs off of my body.
Oh,
Like, oh, here's a rogue hair. I'm gonna pull that off.
yes.
Thanks. That was awesome.
Like just like animals grooming each other.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh God, and it smelled like a fucking pig farm in there. It was just disgusting. And don't touch the socks. Just don't touch. The
Oh, we
socks.
threw Adam's socks out the window. And I believe a PJ Harvey tape. But
Interesting.
so this is around the time so I'm working at Cellophane Square.
Yep.
So I was surrounded by music all the time.
Right.
And I took this it's funny now, DJ Kioki cassette, which was just like crappy rave music, and we would be in random places, kind of enjoying ourselves, and I would put that cassette on, and it would drive everyone crazy except Adam. And Eric started to like it. So that was kind of like, at that point though, we were at the farm and we had a broken D10 old Roland keyboard that would just, you'd hit a bunch of keys and it was almost like it was circuit bent, and it would just make these horrendous noises. Okay. That was the beginning of the end.
And the beginning of the end, meaning
of Waffle Stomper.
You could see where you were going.
Oh yeah,
couldn't see.
I was going noise.
Right. Yeah. So a broken keyboard and a weird cassette tape that you took on tour throws it all out the window for you. I
don't even know how long we were gone.
For a long
6
time.
weeks, 7 weeks. It was
so
a long
you went
time.
crazy and never fixed it?
Never fixed it?
I mean.
So, we had we had some trying times. Okay. As everyone does on tour.
Right, yeah.
When you're cooped up with the same people.
Did you guys break up when you got home?
No, trying to remember when, because Jill and I started dating. I don't remember. But basically we came back not too long after that, right before the CD came out, I think.
Right, you broke up right before the CD came out.
Always,
because bands have to do that. They have to wait until the label puts a whole bunch of money out.
At least you didn't put that one out.
But that was Hair Hurt though.
Yeah.
Oh, so it was you.
Yeah.
So you. Wow.
Well, it was Danny and Adam.
Right.
So they were putting it out. So.
Okay, buy this CD by this band that isn't
You'll never
playing.
hear and that I'll never see live.
I recently found it online. Someone put it up there 2 years ago.
The CD?
The whole thing.
It's good. Oh, you can actually hear it.
You can download the whole thing.
All right, so Waffle Stomper ends. And
so I quit the band.
You quit the band.
And then Eric at the same time had wanted to quit, and we'd actually fought about who was going to say it.
You guys argued about who got to quit
he's like,
first?
No, you do it. No.
They were like brothers in like the good way though.
Yeah. We got along really well. And then so I just did it one day and it was bad.
It was
right, because you guys have been playing at that point for 3 years?
More.
Maybe longer.
Okay.
Yeah. And like this is like the whole core of like an entire group of friends too.
It all just stopped.
Yeah.
And then I went off.
There was a little disintegration with some of the people.
Yeah, and then I went an extreme left.
In terms of music or in terms of everything in your life?
All of the above.
All of the above.
I went extremely bad.
Okay, so give some examples.
Drugs.
Car accident.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, I got a bad car accident. And
I remember that.
Yeah, my skull was exposed. A couple hundred stitches.
Your first true live-in girlfriend.
Yes.
That was not very healthy.
So we're just going to go ahead and we're just going to connect that right to the skull exposed and a horrible accident.
It was a dark time.
It was dark. It was very dark. And then that
I remember
led
you
to
with the stitches.
A whole bunch of weird. Yeah, I looked like Frankenstein. I still worked at Cellophane Square at the time.
Yeah.
And there were people just walk up and like, ooh.
You can't even really see it anymore. I'm always amazed. Oh.
It's been 20 years?
Yeah, but that was seriously one of the most brutal things when I got that phone call.
It hasn't been 20 years.
When I got that phone call to come and stay with you because you'd been in that accident, I've never.
So explain that.
Yeah, because my girlfriend at the time was in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a phone call.
I thought you knew.
Yeah, none of my friends would tell me this.
By the way, how old?
I had been on tour. I came home to an empty home. Well, it wasn't empty while I was gone.
Oh, Jesus.
And the thing is, you would insinuate stuff, and you would. We all just thought you didn't want us to talk to you about it.
By the way,
we would try.
This is the territory that almost every one of these podcasts could go into.
Yeah, but we're not saying anything bad here.
No, it's okay because it is. I expected
all of this is documented, and everyone in the group knew about it.
This is a very big.
It's a huge
reason why I went different.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of this happens.
Yes.
And I pretty much immersed myself in just myself and booze. I didn't do a lot.
Right.
And weed.
Yeah, and weed. Yeah.
Mostly
but at one point,
booze,
that completely changed the way my brain functioned. And I stayed indoors for a long time.
But it was weird. I mean, he was already going that way, but that car accident's the thing that did it. It totally changed everything. And I can remember walking into the house and him just with the shit-eating grin on his face. Like that. Like, I don't know how else to explain it.
I don't know what that means.
Since you can't see my face. Like, that was the look on his face was like just
From the car accident?
From the car accident. Just total shell shock. And he's never the same from that point forward.
I like to think that I got better.
I agree.
I think there are arguments for that. Like,
no, I actually do think so. It was just a really long time getting there.
Yeah, a couple years.
Yeah.
3 years.
Okay, so at this point, do you start getting into electronic music?
Oh, yeah. I'd already been into it.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Collecting it, and that was my main...
There was a shift
music.
when you were working at Cellophane
Yeah.
for the music. Yeah.
Because I could get my hands on everything. So I still have my big collections of punk rock, electronic, but it pretty much started going all electronic.
Yeah, you stopped collecting anything rock.
Yeah.
You stopped
started
going to the
selling
shows
it.
with us. You stopped doing all that.
You guys probably bought half my 7-inches.
We did. I do have quite a few of your records. It's true. Although there was lots you would not part with. You would not give up your Jawbreaker or your Super Chunk no matter what at the time.
I still have those, I think.
Yes, exactly.
Most of them.
Yeah. But you did do a huge shift because you're the reason that I knew of anything electronic at the time. And
But
you're
yes.
the first person who ever took me to a rave.
Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud of that. And
Yeah.
you probably had to see it.
The aftermath, maybe.
Yes.
I don't remember it.
But see, I remember one of the last shows I remember playing, I had been really messed up the night before, and then playing at the old firehouse, just feeling like death. And that was just, that was pretty much
But that's about the
end.
time that then Dave comes into the picture and we're all hanging
Okay.
out and all that kind of stuff.
Right, and then
Because you
everything...
weren't around when the accident happens. That's right before I meet you. Right? Don't you think? I think so.
Okay, so we probably need to get real quick into a more modern era.
Yeah, we could talk all about
Yeah.
your crazy accident, dark days for years and years.
Dark days.
Yeah, but yeah, you don't do any music for quite some time, and then all of a sudden you do YKK and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. That's still a little bit ahead of where we are now, and we're going to do it pretty quick.
Okay,
Yeah, but we did basement stuff, Dave and I, just
Yeah,
making
that's true.
noise.
Yeah. All
That
right.
was where Logic Probe was born.
Logic Probe. Okay, I'm gonna leave at Logic Probe. I'm gonna go make us lunch.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks for coming in, dear.
Thanks.
Yeah, we didn't even get into too many
Yeah,
bad stories.
just
not,
stop.
Not too many.
He says just stop. All right, we'll be out of here in a minute.
Yeah. She has more dirt on me than anybody else, so.
Okay, so you start playing music with Dave Ford. Dave Ford had been in a number of bands. He was in 1007 for
George's
a while.
Wall.
He was in George's Wall. He was everybody kind of knew he was some sort of a musical genius.
Yes, and I played in George's Wall a couple shows
Okay,
for bass.
right.
I was the fill-in guy. So, yeah, we start making noise was our main thing.
Was just to make noise. And did you
Strobe
start
lights.
calling it Logic Probe right at the beginning?
No,
Did you have a different name?
we didn't. We were just
had
like,
no name.
all of a sudden one day we're like, we're going to call this Logic Probe. And we stuck a piece of paper on the wall. And that became our den, our noise den,
Your noise den.
where we
And
would just pretty much buy everything.
What year is this?
96, 97?
96, 97.
We put out our first CD in 99.
In 99. Right.
I think.
Which was the one that Carrie Whitney released.
Yes.
Okay. So, and that's the CD that I used music off of for The Edge of QUARREL.
Correct.
Okay. Logic Probe is still, you guys are still doing it.
Correct. We
It's
are.
a long running musical project. And you guys have played a lot of different places. I've seen you do it.
We've done, some really interesting stuff.
How would you describe Logic Probe to people that had not heard Logic Probe and maybe didn't understand the type of music that it is?
Let's see. Organized chaos?
Is it IDM?
Well, people say that. Some do, yeah, I guess. If you want to label it that. I don't really like that name, but yes.
There's no name you like better?
Music.
Okay. And you
It's electronic music. A lot of noise, a lot of scattered beats, broken.
and you primarily run it off laptops.
Now, yes, we didn't used to. We used to use actual all hardware.
Right.
But then we had a show down with Jason Farrell in Salt Lake. We're like, we can't carry all this crap with us on an airplane.
Right.
So we got laptops.
Okay.
And that was a complete shift.
Right. And once you did a laptop, you're like, okay, we're laptop music.
Yes. Because then it was almost like the device was capable of taking what we had in our brains and making it happen.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Now,
Because it's really hard to hand program things.
sure. Let's hit on two things. One, we teased this earlier, so I want to do it. You're in Edge of QUARREL.
Yes.
And you're also in Matt Matsuoka's movies or movie?
Movie.
Okay, you're in For the Cash.
Yes.
And you play a character working at Fallout Records.
Yes.
Okay,
And a ninja
and you're one of the ninjas.
Yes.
I am also one of the ninjas.
in my backyard or in the alley.
In the alley. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. We did some ninja stunts.
We did.
Derek and I have been ninja stuntmen in a film together.
Yes, we have.
Okay. That was fun. I fell off the car with the sword.
Yes.
Remember? And Matt
we were
was
trying
worried.
to figure out how you would not kill yourself.
Matt was worried it was going to be too dangerous because I'd fall on the sword and stab myself. And I said, you don't have any production value here. We really need. I know I can do it. I know I can tumble off this car with the sword and not stab myself.
And you did it.
I did. I don't know if it added that much production value, but the thing is, I just wanted to do it.
Yes, I understand.
And I knew I could fall with a sword.
Yeah.
I ran around with all those wooden swords all my youth, you know? Not this fake metal one, but whatever.
Yeah, and we did have some music in those movies.
Oh, you guys had some in Matt's movies?
Yes.
Okay, he did Heartbreak Beat and For the Cash.
Yeah, we were just in For the Cash.
Okay, that makes sense.
Maybe the laboratory scene?
That would make sense. With Damien?
Yes. I believe we have the music when the garage is opening.
Okay. So.
Because, scientists, like electronic music. Yeah, it all goes together. It all makes sense.
When you were doing For the Cash, you also did a scene for me in The Edge of QUARREL. In The Edge of QUARREL, in my movie, it's punk versus straight edge. There's gang fights. There's lots and lots of scenes where there's people chasing other people. And I had a scene, and if anyone's seen the movie, they know the scene we're talking about, where Aaron Edge, who plays a character named Rollo, is being chased by some punk rockers. He runs past a payphone, pulls the payphone handle out, and clotheslines one of the punks. Then rips the receiver out of the phone
and then beats
the next guy. You're the guy that he beats.
Which very quick.
It was very quick, and you actually got hurt more in real life than what it would have looked like in the film because it doesn't really look like he's hitting you. So no, but you got whipped by the end of the metal.
Yeah, that conduit, that thing hurt.
The metal conduit. So I appreciate you actually. I mean, only a couple.
I took one for the movie.
Yeah, only a couple people really got hurt, like you and Dave Carson, Zach Chicago, who actually got kneed in the side of the face.
Oh, that's way worse.
In the Rumble scene.
Yeah, whip me with some metal. That's way. Yeah.
No, so that was I appreciated that. You're part of that fiasco, like so many others. And then you get a job at some place on the east side. Now, neither of us had taken advantage of the opportunities that had been happening in the Northwest with the whole rise of the internet and all the .coms and everything. People that we knew had made a lot of money, and you get hired by some tech company.
At the time, I was doing laser work. Like actually etching light plates and stuff for Boeing jets and all that stuff, getting paid very little.
You worked for a company that was doing laser etching?
Yes. Like cutting paint.
Okay.
On panels that were backlit. So then I used that. Dave Ford got a job.
That's right.
At Terrabeam.
Dave Ford got a job at Terrabeam.
And I took that because I was working with Dave Ford.
And the name of the company was Terrabeam.
Terrabeam.
And it was this startup in Seattle that Lucent Technologies had gotten excited about and put $700 million of money into.
Lots of money.
And one night at the Spaghetti Factory, I believe.
Spaghetti Factory?
This sounds right.
Sure.
We were all out at the Spaghetti Factory, and you said,
Dave needs a job.
Apply. Yeah, it was said, Dave needs a job. I was working at Kinko's, and I had already not taken a job at Amazon.com when I had an opportunity. And so I thought, no, it was the biggest mistake I've ever made.
Well, that time at Amazon, yes. Now, it would be a good thing to not get it.
Okay. But certainly, financially, it would have been a great thing to have done. But so you said, you should apply. I'll put in a word for you or whatever it was. And so I applied and used you as a reference. And somehow, with no background in anything, I got hired to work with you in Redmond at Terrabeam. And I was hired as like a monkey, like a monkey wrencher.
That's what we all were.
Right. We worked in the...
but it paid well.
No, it didn't. No.
Eventually, it paid well for me.
Here's what they did. When I got hired, they said, okay, listen, we don't offer a high hourly wage. Basically, what we do is when we bring people in, we give them a slight bump off of what they're making currently. But you're getting so many stock options.
We were all going to be rich.
They said that you're not really doing this job for the hourly. You're going to give us a couple of years and you're going to never have to work again. They actually said, congratulations, you won the lotto. How'd that work out for us?
Oh, great.
We worked there together for a couple of years.
I worked there.
We got pretty close.
I worked there for a long time.
You worked there longer than I did. I went in the 4th round of layoffs. When everything went bad after...
I asked them to lay me off.
Yeah.
because they wanted to keep me there.
Right. Now, you said this company still exists. I don't know that it does.
I'm not sure. It might. If you search it, something will come up.
Well, if that's the case, maybe my stock options are still worth something.
You would have had to pay for them.
Wait, how does that work?
Well, the offering price. You have to pay for them.
Oh, and it never went above what the... So it would actually cost me money to get rid of them?
Yes.
All right, so we worked at Terrabeam for a couple of years, and I ended up doing crazy work with lasers and aligning stuff and things that like...
Fun stuff.
It was fun in a way. Just like every job...
I think it killed your soul a little bit.
It did. I'm going to tell you the truth, man. If that job could have been me just sitting there putting together little laser control boxes... Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. If I could have just done that every day for like 15 or 20 years, I would have been thrilled. Like I couldn't even imagine
I don't think I
something
could do that for that long.
Like because it was just the repetitive work that you had to do very specifically to make it work right. And it was just make this the exact same way every single time. And I love that. But it was it was constantly getting thrown into something else, and yeah, I don't know. It was a mess.
But it was a startup environment, which was crazy.
And here's the thing. While it was rising, anytime someone had a problem with something, it'd be like, oh, but this is so cool, who cares? As soon as we could see the writing on the wall that this thing wasn't going to work.
It's like, oh, crap, let's get out of here.
And 9/11 happened.
Yes,
and
everything went down.
Everything went downhill. Then all of a sudden, everybody's personal problems with each other came into play, and it became ugly.
Yeah.
Not you and me.
No.
That was the best thing that came out of it was you and me becoming much closer as friends.
We had some good lunches.
Oh, we did the
Family Pancake House.
The Family Pancake House
Often.
with grilled cheese, and the other one we did that I liked was the Godfather's Pizza.
Oh yeah.
Lunch buffet.
Yeah. Those were the days.
You know, the closest Godfather's Pizza is in Federal Way, and sometimes I'll drive down there to go to the lunch buffet.
Federal. Oh my god.
They still have them.
That's ridiculous. Why would you drive that far?
Because there's nothing on earth that tastes like the Godfather's Pizza lunch buffet.
That's funny.
That is the thing.
I will never do that.
Well, you should go with me sometime.
I don't want to. I was never a big fan of Godfathers.
No. Oh, okay. But
it was
we
convenient.
Went,
yeah,
it was convenient. It was right by the work.
Yeah,
okay. When you left, you got laid off, or you left Terrabeam. You did something completely different. You were doing this tech work, and you ended up going out. Let me see if I'd say this right. As a guitar tech for Modest Mouse.
Yeah. You could say that. Yeah, computer and guitar tech for Dan. For Modest Mouse.
So so computer tech.
Yeah, because Dan trusted me with his computer stuff.
So was he using it on stage? Was he?
Yes.
Okay, so he was making sounds.
Yes, because a lot of the keyboards and drum loops, a lot of the stuff came from the laptop.
So how long did you do that job?
Let's see, that was 2004 and 2005.
So 2 years with Modest Mouse?
It wasn't 2 solid years. Maybe it was a year.
Right,
and a
because
half,
they would tour and then they'd be off and you'd be home.
And then I'd do weird part-time work and
yeah.
But it was cool. I mean, we got to do, Saturday Night Live and
you were there?
Austin City Limits and cool stuff.
Cool. No, that's a big change. You had been on tour, but this was a whole different kind of...
That's a whole different kind of tour.
Was it a tour bus?
When I first started, it was vans.
Okay.
And then it was bus and airplanes.
Oh, and you'd fly places.
Yeah, to
because you basically went with them on the rise.
Yes.
Which was very interesting. I remember that was coming around right basically when I was leaving Terrabeam.
Yes. They were on their way up.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it was, having known Jeremiah and Dan, it was fun.
Yeah.
I got to meet a lot of good people, Joe Plummer, and it was fun.
Cool. And then, so...
It was just a personal life wrecker.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have a lot of great
hard
feelings from that time.
Oh, I do.
You
I
do?
had a fantastic time, but personal life-wise, it was very difficult. Just because you're leaving someone at home that doesn't really want you to be gone.
Right. Okay, so what happens after that? How does that come to an end and what happens?
So it was an end of a tour, and basically Andy and I were going to get married.
Okay.
My wife, Andy.
Yep.
And I said, I'm going to stay home and get a real job. I called it a real job. That was just the way to say it. To stay home.
Right.
So that's what I did. I found a former Terrabeamer.
Right.
And got another job in manufacturing.
In manufacturing involving lasers?
We use lasers.
Okay.
But it's mainly RF.
RF being what, radio frequency?
Yes.
Okay. Get some
Horizontal drilling equipment.
horizontal drilling equipment.
Yes.
Okay. And so you've been doing that. You've been doing that ever since
10 years.
10 years now, and you've been focusing on Logic Probe.
Yes.
I can't believe that much time's gone by.
A couple other. I did YKK with Morgan.
YKK with Morgan.
But that was before. That was older.
You were doing
So
that
that
when
was
we were at
2000
Terrorbeam, yeah.
2001.
And that doesn't exist anymore?
No. We did it. We recorded a record and a couple other songs, but we never actually put it out.
Okay.
It's just online.
But that record was going to come out on a label.
On Lucky Horse.
It was going to come out on Lucky Horse.
Yep.
Okay.
But for some reason, Morgan and I didn't agree on it, so
I see.
it didn't come out.
So, but it's available online.
Somewhere.
Okay, so we'll find some YKK and we'll try to link it. And so what are the plans now? You have a child now.
I do. I have a 3-year-old. She's awesome. And that has slowed things down a little bit. Dave and I both have children.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it a little bit harder.
Right.
And we both have full-time jobs.
Right.
So we still do stuff. We haven't done any, haven't had any releases for a couple years.
Okay.
But I've also got another one that's AV Librato, is another electronic one that came out on Schematic Records out of Miami.
AV Librato?
Yeah.
That's another band that you do?
Yeah.
Who do you do it with? Just you?
My friend Jerry, who's in Portland now.
Right. No, I know you've worked with Jerry for years, but I didn't know you guys actually had a release.
Yes.
What's it sound like?
Electronic. More straightforward, like, I hate describing music. It's the worst.
Go listen to it.
It's noisy electronic stuff.
Okay.
But not the same as Logic Probe.
Right.
Logic Probe uses a lot more circuit bent stuff and homemade weird stuff.
Right.
Which is what I like to do.
Circuit. Now, there are probably people, you've said circuit bent twice without explaining it. No, that's cool. I let it go by, but explain really quickly to people what circuit bent means.
Taking usually old toys and rewiring them so that they make lots of garbled sounds. Now,
a perfect example would be like a Speak and Spell?
Yes, Speak and Spell or something like that.
Right.
Old keyboards.
So what you want is you want to be able to utilize that sound that comes out of the speaker it has, but make it make sounds that
it's not supposed to.
That it's not supposed to.
Yes.
And is it controllable, or is the idea that it should be randomized?
Sometimes it is controllable.
What is sought after? Controllable?
No, not for me. Chaos.
You want chaos.
Yeah, because you record it and you chop it up and you turn it into something else.
Okay. So you wouldn't be doing it live. You wouldn't be.
Yeah, we do.
You do.
I believe you came to one where we played pretty much all noise, no beats.
Yeah, no, I have.
Yeah. And you were like, what the hell was that?
It's fun to watch you do your thing. I don't always understand it.
Yeah. You don't need to understand it. Sometimes we don't understand it.
All right.
It just happens.
And so basically that's where we're sitting now.
Yeah. Still, got a couple other projects I'm working on, all electronic stuff.
All electronic stuff? Okay.
Yeah. Bought my kid a drum set, so I'm hoping to get some recordings of her one of these days.
Now, when you buy your kid a drum set,
I never was allowed to have a drum set.
So that's what you wanted her to be able to make
I just want her to have a drum set.
But you also want a drummer.
Sure.
You're like,
I kind of just want a little tiny drum set I can beat on.
Oh, you wanted to play the drum set.
I play it more than she does. But it's miniature, so it makes you're all hunched over.
Right.
And it's loud. It's great. But she gets on there like Animal from the Muppets and just starts beating things. And she has good rhythm.
Oh, she does?
Yeah.
Okay, so she
will be doing something.
You'll be in a band with her.
I hope so.
Nice.
That would be weird, but I hope so.
Would it be weird?
Yeah.
I think people do that.
Oh, people do it, but they're weird. Who wants to be in a band with their dad?
What? Yeah, I suppose that's true.
That's weird. Not weird for the parent. Weird for the kid.
You think it's weird for the kid?
Yeah. Who wants to be in a band with their parent?
Yeah, I guess that would be hard. That would be kind of rough.
Or it'll be completely amazing.
Well, I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah.
Hey, so we're going to go. What other things would you like to cover? What didn't we cover that you thought we would talk about today?
Well, we luckily didn't talk about fights.
Oh, we talked a little bit about fights with you throwing that stuff down.
Oh, yeah, that was when I was young. I'm talking like high school fights.
Did you get in a lot of fights in high school?
Several.
Did you win?
Yes.
You were always a winner?
Well, no. No, but I hated high school for a lot of it because I was picked on by this one person and it lasted for a long time. And I spent a lot of time in the library avoiding it.
And then you finally so this is like a movie.
I was in band.
Okay.
So I had band fights where I got jumped in the band hallway and ended up
Wait.
taking
By
them down.
other band people?
Yes.
Wait, because of jealousy over the band stuff?
No. I believe the one big one was because I wouldn't do his paper route. So he jumped on my back and I flipped him over, put my knee on his throat and punched him in the face a bunch of times till he cried.
Nice. Did you get in trouble for that?
Nope.
Oh, you got to walk off that one.
Yep.
Awesome.
I've never gotten in trouble for him. But I've also been hit a bunch of times by random people, just like strangers.
Do you think that you just had a face that looked like it needed a fist?
I think so.
Okay. And we took that picture.
Yeah.
So,
like just random, like, oh, I don't like you. I'm going to hit you. I'm like, ugh. And I would go ahead, hit me. I'm not going to hit you back.
Okay.
And I would just keep walking while they were trying to hit me.
Oh, so sometimes you just walked away from flailing.
Oh, yeah. Or being hit in the side of the head and just keep walking.
All right. Were those the ones you thought you couldn't win?
No, I just didn't want to deal with it.
Didn't want to deal with it. Okay. But
I have a weird crazy switch. Like
okay.
all of a sudden, just like snap and lunatic.
Right, and that's the guy that
I don't like that guy.
You don't like the guy, but he beats people up.
Yeah. That's when the crazy stuff happens.
Okay.
Like baseball bats and stuff.
My
brother. Tennis rackets, whatever. Whatever was closest. And
so these are fights that you would go up against your brother.
Yeah, but that was where most of them happened.
Right.
Because I was at home and I had weapons.
Do you have nunchucks?
Nope, but I saw some at the gas station the other day and I almost bought them.
Wait, you wanted to have nunchucks?
I did. I think part of listening to this makes me want them.
I had nunchucks.
I know.
My brother made me some. I never hit anybody with them, though.
I wouldn't do that.
They're not good.
No, they're stupid.
I don't think.
But I think these unscrew and you could put weed in them.
Oh, they're just for holding your weed. You put your weed in there.
But they were full size.
Just because something unscrews and there's an opening doesn't mean it's a weed storage place. You beg to differ.
Well, it's sold with all of that other junk next to a scale or a little pipe
and next to a throwing star and a dagger with a white wolf on the handle.
Nope, they don't have those there. Otherwise, I would have one on the wall. I love that kind of tchotchke junk.
Yeah? Did you have a throwing star when you were a kid?
I did.
Did you throw it at stuff?
In the fence, we had an above-the-ground pool. We popped the liner of the pool.
Did you have one throwing star or a collection? You had one. And when did you lose it?
In Oklahoma, somewhere.
By throwing it and not being able to find it? It's the worst. And how do you carry a throwing star when you're a kid? Did you put it in your back pocket?
No, you just carry it.
Oh, you walked around with the throwing star.
Yeah. Had 4 points.
You had 4.1.
Yep.
Okay. I had one of those ones that
had a big hole in the middle.
It had it had 6 prongs, and then the prongs had 2 prongs coming out the side. And you'd whip that at the fence, and it would hit the fence and stick in. And then you'd go look at the wood, and you'd say, okay, if that hit someone's skin, how far would it actually go in? Because you're trying to do a fence to face ratio, basically.
Oh, yeah. I would never throw that at somebody.
I
remember sharpening it.
Oh, sharpening your throwing star with a whetstone?
Yeah, sure.
What did you sharpen it with?
Concrete. Like sitting there like...
You're rubbing the throwing star on the concrete.
Trying to grind it.
Oh my God, they're so wonderfully...
When you're like 10, 11, 12, you got to do what you can.
You got to.
I don't remember having...
Pocket knives?
Did I?
Yeah.
Not really. Never have really liked...
No knives, but a throwing star.
Yeah. Well, it was around the neighborhood, yeah.
So you didn't actually think you were going to throw it at a person?
Not on purpose.
See, I went through a brief period of time where
I was not a ninja.
I thought if I could get good enough with the fence, I could actually use the star to defend myself if needed.
Yeah, no. I never thought that would happen. Sort of like hatchet throwing when you go camping.
I had a tiny little butterfly knife, too.
Ooh, I had a butterfly knife.
Yeah.
I did have a pocket knife.
And I would practice...
I had 2 of them.
I would practice opening it, like where no one could see it, and then stabbing a cardboard box. Because I wanted to be able to know how to do it. I didn't want to have to not know what I was doing if I needed to use that. And it was a tiny little rickety little butterfly knife that was like 3 inches long.
I worked with this guy at Burger King that took me for a ride one day. We're listening to Rob Bass and DJ Easy Rock, and he reaches under his seat, pulls out a butterfly knife, and gave it to me.
Oh,
he's like, you might need this. I'm like, where the hell are we going?
For the ride? Or for where? And then he let you keep it?
Yeah. I don't have it anymore.
Hey,
because it got rusted.
You're gonna need one of these. You need a friend who'll just hand you.
I think he might have just been giving me something he needed to get rid of.
Oh, it had been used.
I don't know, but it was old. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm like, I kept it for a long time.
But you don't still have it.
No, I don't. I wish I did. Oh, well.
You keep a lot of stuff, but you threw away the rusty old butterfly knife?
Yeah, I'm a hoarder.
That's
I keep everything.
Maybe you did actually feel that it was used in the commission.
I actually might have it, but I don't think I do.
There has to have been a reason for you to throw it away.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I used to have another one. I don't have that one anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it's weird. I've had multiple butterfly knives in my life, and I don't have any of them. Butterfly knives don't stay.
No. Why is that?
It's a mystery.
It flew away.
Oh man. Okay. It's like, okay, well, I don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
So that's the fight stuff. We should have probably gone into that in more detail.
Yeah, but instead we got some bikini talk.
The funny thing is, now I'm just you won't let us put that picture up, I'm assuming.
Oh man, I'd have to see it again myself, but I'm gonna.
You need to understand.
No.
You brought some cool stuff over here today for this, but Michaelanne has
so much
volumes of picture books, and you feature prominently in many of them.
I've been around for a long time.
Okay, well, listen.
I don't even know what most of those are. Yikes.
It's okay. There's some good ones.
Yeah,
and there's
sure
definitely some photos of you and Matsuoka in those crazy times that you're talking about. So
there has
that'll
to be
good.
Someone had to have documented that.
Okay. So I'm going to say thanks for coming over and doing this, man.
Thanks for having me.
And right before we go, any corrections from any of the prior 17 episodes of this podcast?
It is so hard to think about that. I'm just really enjoying it. So
you will usually text me something about each episode as you listen to it. And that's how I know you had listened to them all.
The singer of the Way Outs, Leah.
The singer of the Way Outs is Leah.
I do have photos and video of them.
We'll have to do something with that. Who else was in the Way Outs?
Ned Brower.
Ned.
Who went on to play in Rooney.
Okay.
And Tim Kennedy. And Ben Davis.
And Ben Davis. Okay, they were a good band, and it seemed for a little bit that they were going to really go.
Yeah, and then it just stopped.
Yeah, that's what happened with
But Ned, Tim, they had to go to college.
Yeah. They had to.
That's just, yeah.
Okay.
I never did that.
You never did college?
Well, I did like 3 times, I think. Never finished.
Right.
Oops.
So, okay, so you did bring that one up. You can't think of anything else?
Not right this second.
All right. But you're out there. You're like a historian that's out there.
Oh, I've got a lot of stuff.
Listening to this stuff. So if we make mistakes, Derek will let me know and we'll be able to correct it.
Yep.
All right, buddy.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.
Well, there it is. I gotta say, this episode could have gone on forever. We could have kept talking. In the end there, we ran out of time. Derek needed to go. So there were a number of topics I didn't even bring up because I knew that it would take us far, far beyond where we could go with the time we had left the episode. So I really enjoyed that one. We could have gone longer, but sometimes they have to come to an end. What are you going to do? As far as corrections go, there's a possible correction. Talking about it afterwards, Michaelanne says looking back on it, her first house show might have been The Accused and not Poison Idea. She believes it was one of those, but she was very young. In her mind, it's always been Poison Idea, and it may well have been Poison Idea. Maybe it was both. I mean, who knows back then what it could have been. I was unaware of the show, but this could have been way back when I was in Bellingham, so who knows. I tried to check to see if Terrabeam was still a company. As near as I can tell, Terrabeam is now a company called Proxim Wireless. Either they bought them out or whatever. That's where whatever technology went. I found some fun articles about what a horrible downfall it had been, what a terrible gamble, and how everyone had gotten screwed. I didn't spend too much time on those because I know the story personally. So that's pretty much it. Derek pointed out in the episode that it was Leah who sang for the Way Outs. And he brought a flyer. We've talked on a couple episodes, the Jake Snyder episode and the Damian Johnson episode, about the show at the Redmond Annex that Pillow played. That was, I suppose, the first real meeting of Jake and I. And Derek actually had a flyer for that show. So that's going to show up in the images on his blog page. So go check that out. It tells the bands that are playing, and so we can put that one to bed. The other thing about this episode is that I really didn't get a chance to talk about some of the cool stuff that Derek has done with Logic Probe, working with doing remix stuff for different bands. But if you are a person who's into Waxwing or Botch, you may have actually heard his work, because on the Waxwing Intervention record, I believe it is, there's Logic Probe remix of one of their songs, and on the Botch We Are the Romans record, there's a remix that Logic Probe did. So Derek was involved with both of those things, and he's had his hand in a lot of things, and I expect that's not going to end. I think he'll continue doing a lot of great stuff. All right, so I'm putting this one up. We've got some very cool podcast episodes coming up. I'm lining up some interviews I'm excited about. We're going to get to the bottom of some stuff. All right, go check out all the stuff on the site, nobodiesknows.com. Go like our Facebook page, facebook.com/nosynobody. Follow us on Twitter, @nosynobody. Do these things. These make me very happy. When people follow those things, it makes me feel like there's one or two people out there paying attention. Anyway, just a little something that makes it all feel worth it. All right, until next time, see y'all.
This podcast is a product of the Nobody's Knows Podcast Network. Executive producers David R. Larson and K. Drake Streetman. Music for this episode provided by Polymorph from the record Artifacts, Demos, and Debris.